Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. The end of the world. The materials consumed by women will be returned 10,000 times. Chapter 21. Some vented their anger on the patrol members. Some people took the opportunity to leave quietly. Mrs. Shu even took advantage of others' distraction to steal other people's food. Zhang Fan looked around and didn't see. I'm really not a fox. The female anchor didn't come. Zhang Fan frowned slightly. As long as he stared at the unknown woman for a few seconds, the system would automatically prompt. Sun Jia. Age, 32. Quality, 5 points mediocre. Women's ethics, 2 points 3 marriages, 2 ex-husbands left home. Comprehensive score, 5 points. Ding. Does not meet the minimum system requirements. Deng Xiaona. Age, 39. Quality, 3 points. Female ethics, 10 points without personnel. Comprehensive score, 3 points. Ding. Does not meet the minimum system requirements. Suddenly, a prompt popped up on a mediocre middle-aged woman in the corner. Hu Lily. Age, 22. Quality, 9.5 points big, very big. Female ethics, 10 points without personnel. Comprehensive score, 9.5 points. Ding. Meets system requirements. 9.5 points. Does our building still have this kind of top quality? Zhang Fan stared at the middle-aged woman carefully for a while, and then he realized that this woman was wearing makeup. And he is being ugly on purpose. So smart. Hu Lily. Zhang Fan reacted immediately. Fox. She is the female anchor. Hu Lily was looking at him timidly, as if hesitating whether to come over to trade. Zhang Fan raised the corners of his mouth slightly. He walked through the chaotic crowd and walked straight to Hu Lily. Wherever they went, everyone unanimously moved out of the way, not daring to provoke Zhang Fan. Zhang Fan asked, Hu Lily, have you brought the black lychees? Hu Lily was startled and quickly touched her cheek, thinking that her makeup had fallen off. Bring it. Can you recognize me? Zhang Fan didn't explain. He just took out 5 packs of instant noodles and looked at Hu Lily. Hu Lily's eyes shone and she swallowed. She carefully opened her backpack and took out a lunch box. Opening the lunch box, a black lychee appeared in front of Zhang Fan. Zhang Fan laughed and reached for the lunch box. The third fruit of enlightenment is finally in hand. Tang Shiru and Shu Mengqian looked at Zhang Fan in surprise. I don't understand why Zhang Fan is interested in this plain-looking woman. When they saw the black lychee, they seemed to understand that Zhang Fan was here for the superpower fruit. Snort. This woman is so stupid that she didn't eat this superpower fruit. Looking at Hu Lily's ordinary appearance, the two women did not feel threatened at all, but instead felt proud. There is no way this kind of woman can compete with him for Zhang Fan. Zhang Fan stuffed 5 packs of instant noodles into Hu Lily's hands and said with a smile. Would you like to stay at my place? Hu Lily hugged the instant noodles tightly and shook her head nervously. I like living alone. Zhang Fan was not in a hurry and said casually. Okay. You can contact me again after you finish eating. I still have a lot of food. He considers himself a principled person. Since we have agreed to trade the enlightenment fruit before, it is a trade. However, if you change your mind on the spot after agreeing on a deal, Zhang Fan will make the other party understand what cruelty is. Hu Lily didn't bother with anything, and Zhang Fan wouldn't overturn the deal and just grab it. Anyway, this little food will be eaten up sooner or later. She has to endure some hardships. The harder it is to survive, the more she will give up in the end. Hu Lily bit her lip and hesitated, but did not refuse completely. Can I think about it? Zhang Fan smiled. No problem. By the way, where did your black lychee grow? Hu Lily held the food in her arms and said without thinking too much. The ivy on the outer wall, isn't it yours? Zhang Fan nodded slightly and said nothing, thinking secretly in his heart. The few enlightenment fruits he knew grew from completely different plants, succulents, ivy, and the weeds that the lightning man mentioned. It's really strange, how come any plant can grow enlightenment fruits? What do these plants have in common? Zhang Fan was very puzzled. At this moment, the crowd suddenly burst out shouting. Killed, killed. The people who beat up the patrol members dispersed in a hurry. Several patrol members had fallen into a pool of blood, with air in but not out. The food they had just snatched was snatched away again. The scene was chaotic. People were fighting for food while squeezing to escape. Hu Lily's face turned pale, and her heart was pounding with fear. Tang Shiru and Shu Mengqian couldn't help but hold Zhang Fan's arm and lean in. Zhang Fan just looked at everything indifferently. No matter how chaotic the scene was, no one dared to approach him. A 3-meter empty circle formed around him. In the apocalypse, the nature of everyone to bully the weak and fear the strong is undoubtedly exposed. Ah, Tao Tao, Tao Tao, Mrs. Shu howled miserably. It turned out that the naughty child was pushed to the ground and then stepped on more than 10 times by a group of people. He started vomiting blood on the spot, and large mouthfuls of blood gushed out. Save my grandson. Save my grandson. Mrs. Shu looked panicked. No one paid any attention to her. Everyone left in a hurry. Finally, the old Chinese medicine doctor Li Qingchuan sighed and came back. Mrs. Shu seemed to have found a savior, and quickly grabbed Li Qingchuan's hand and said, "Save Tao Tao. Tao Tao is a good boy. Dr. Li, you must save him." Li Qingchuan said seriously, "I try my best." He squatted beside Tao Tao, felt his pulse, and then looked at Tao Tao's pupils. Li Qingchuan shook his head. If it was before, it might be possible to save her if she was sent to the hospital right away. Now, sigh. Li Qingchuan slowly stood up. Mrs. Shu suddenly turned pale and grabbed Li Qingchuan's trousers. "How can I explain to his parents if he dies? Dr. Li, please save him. You must have a way to save him." Li Qingchuan smiled bitterly. "I'm sorry, I really can't help it." Mrs. Shu suddenly changed her expression and said loudly, "I know, you doctors just want money, right? I'll give it to you. 100,500. My family has money. As long as you cure him, I'll give it to you." Li Qingchuan was speechless and said seriously, "Sister Shu, this is not about money, but about the lack of conditions for treatment now." Mrs. Shu pulled Li Qingchuan's trousers with excitement. Tao Tao was just stepped on a few times, how could something happen? "I know, you just want money. If you don't save Tao Tao, you will die without saving him. You have no medical ethics. Li Qingchuan is willing to save people, but that doesn't mean he is a good old man who allows others to bully him. Humph, it's unreasonable." He suddenly raised his legs, shook off Mrs. Shu's hand, turned around and left. Mrs. Shu lay on the ground and shouted, "Why don't you treat Tao Tao? Why don't you treat me?" Then he started crying. "Come and take a look. This dead old man refuses to save you. His conscience has been eaten by dogs. Ouch, my life is so miserable. Li Qingchuan, I'm going to sue you to the leader of your hospital." Tang Shiru and Shu Mengqian looked at Mrs. Shu with disgust. Zhang Fan watched the show with great interest and suddenly said, "Old Mrs. Shu, stop crying, your grandson is out of breath." Mrs. Shu turned her head to look at Tao Tao. The naughty child had turned blue and was out of breath. "Ah, Tao Tao, Tao Tao, wake up. How can I explain to your parents if you die?" Mrs. Shu's eyes turned white and she fainted with a faint sound. Zhang Fan curled his lips and turned around to see Hu Lily, who was holding 5 packs of instant noodles tightly in her arms and hiding in the corner. Zhang Fan knew what she was afraid of and asked deliberately, "Why don't you go home yet?" Hu Lily tried her best to smile. I'll leave later." In fact, she didn't dare to leave at all. When everyone fled just now, it was obvious that several men were staring at the food in her arms. If Zhang Fan hadn't been here, she would have been robbed. Hu Lily didn't dare to go downstairs to go home now. She didn't know if anyone was waiting to rob her down there. Zhang Fan said calmly, "Oh, just wait." After saying that, he took the 2 girls upstairs and went home. The corridor soon became quiet. There were several corpses scattered on the ground. The only living person was the comatose old lady Shu. The surroundings suddenly became terrifying. Hu Lily was so frightened that she almost cried. She waited for a few more minutes before she mustered up the courage to go downstairs tremblingly. After tiptoeing all the way, I was finally lucky and got home safely. As soon as she got home, Hu Lily collapsed to the ground and could hardly stand up. At Tang Shiru's home, Zhang Fan saw this scene in his eyes. He had seen that there was no one in the corridor, and the only mutated beast was White Eyes, lying in front of Tang Shiru's house. No one would threaten Hu Lily for the time being. He just wanted to scare Hu Lily. This woman is a little smart, but not much. After a few days, when the instant noodles are finished, I still have to kneel down and come to beg for myself. Are you still pinning your hopes on national rescue? Ah. Zhang Fan withdrew his gaze, took out the enlightenment fruit from the lunchbox, and handed it to Tang Shiru. It's for you, eat it. Tang Shiru was surprised. Give it to me, Zhang Fan said nonchalantly. Well, I have plenty of this stuff. Thank you, Brother Zhang. Thank you, Brother Zhang. Tang Shiru was originally worried that she would fall out of favor, but now she finally felt relieved. Shu Mengqian looked at Tang Shiru jealously. Tang Shiru ate the fruit of enlightenment. Ding! Tang Shiru consumes 1 enlightenment fruit, virtualization, and 300 fruits will be returned. It has been put into the portable space. Enlightenment fruit, void, 2 stars. After eating it, you can gain virtualization ability. Eating the same fruit repeatedly has a chance of improving the star rating. Disappear. Zhang Fan's eyes lit up. It is indeed a new ability. And it's a 2-star fruit. Tang Shiru instinctively felt a new ability, but couldn't figure out how to use it. Tang Shiru said curiously, Brother Zhang, what kind of fruit is this? Void. Zhang Fan smiled, took out a few virtual fruits and threw them into his mouth. The system immediately prompts. Virtualization. 2 stars, you can virtualize your body and travel between solid and liquid states. The greater the density of the solid, the greater the energy consumption. Zhang Fan's heart moved, and his virtualization ability was activated. He instinctively felt that his body was in a semi-illusory and semi-real state, and it seemed that he could pass through any place he wanted. Zhang Fan reached out to touch the wall and inserted his arm into it. Immediately afterwards, he walked into the wall and walked out of the bedroom. Wall penetration. Tang Shiru was pleasantly surprised. She gave it a try and followed Zhang Fan's example, passing through the wall easily. Tang Shiru's face turned pale and she was panting, as if she had run for several kilometers. It's so tiring to go through walls. Brother Zhang is still good, I can go through 2 walls at most. Shu Mengqian's eyes were filled with jealousy. This ability is a magical escape skill. Shu Mengqian hugged Zhang Fan's arm resentfully. Zhang, husband, I also want. Zhang Fan raised his lips slightly. Then it depends on your future performance. Shu Mengqian was pleasantly surprised and said quickly. Husband, I will definitely work hard. Zhang Fan smiled and said. Don't call me husband, call me master. Master. Shu Mengqian's face turned red. Yeah, be good. Zhang Fan stroked Shu Mengqian's head like a cat. Tang Shiru's beautiful eyes were on fire. What a slut. Immediately afterwards, she knelt down on the ground, picked up Zhang Fan's big feet and held them in her arms. Zhang, master, are you tired? I'll give you a squeeze on your feet. Sure enough, competition for jobs is conducive to improving service quality. Zhang Fan laughed with satisfaction. From now on, I will reward you with a fruit every few days, but who will be rewarded? Ha ha. When the 2 women heard this, they both stared at each other eagerly, and there was a faint spark of collision in the air. Okay, let's go play, little kitty, I'm going to do some business. Zhang Fan stood up, and with a thought in his heart, the virtualization started. He felt that the floor beneath his feet was empty, and his body fell lightly. From the perspective of the 2 women, Zhang Fan's body quickly sank into the floor and finally disappeared completely. Zhang Fan crossed the floor and landed in the room downstairs. He turned off his virtualization ability in midair and easily stepped on the floor of the 31st floor. Ha ha ha, it's indeed a life-saving skill. Zhang Fan was very satisfied. Zhang Fan tested it a few more times and quickly understood the details of the virtualization ability. 1. When walking through a solid body, it is like walking in a swimming pool, which is more laborious. The greater the density of the solid, the more energy is consumed and the slower the speed. He can clearly feel that when passing through a load-bearing wall, the resistance is much greater than that in hollow bricks. 2. You cannot breathe in a solid body, you can only hold your breath, so you cannot stay in a solid body for a long time. 3. You can carry items through walls. Whether it is the clothes on his body or his backpack, they will be considered as part of his body, traveling through the solid body. Zhang Fan laughed. Moreover, my overall physical fitness is very high. It consumes a lot of energy for Tang Shiru, but it is very small for me. If breathing problems are not considered, I can walk several kilometers slowly. There was no one in Tang Shiru's downstairs room. Zhang Fan simply took out a handful of hollow fruits and ate them one by one. After eating more than a dozen pills, the system prompted again. Ding! Virtualization is upgraded to 3 stars. The speed of traveling through solids and liquids is accelerated. Zhang Fan continued to eat. Ding! Virtual blur is upgraded to 4 stars. The speed of traveling through solids and liquids is accelerated. Keep eating. Ding! Void upgrade to 5 stars. You can barely breathe in solids and liquids. Zhang Fan's eyes lit up. If you can breathe in solids and liquids, you can move for a long time. Disappear. Zhang Fan unlocked his ability and experimented with changes in his ability. If you walked through a solid before, it would be like walking in viscous water. Now it's like running against a strong wind, and the speed is much faster. Plus, I can actually breathe. I still feel a bit suffocated, a bit like the feeling of difficulty breathing when wearing an N95 mask. But it doesn't matter, as long as you can breathe, you can move underground for a long time. Escape, or sneak attack can play a huge role. There were only more than 100 hollow fruits left. Zhang Fan felt that there was no way to upgrade, so he took out the perception fruit and ate it. But after eating hundreds of pills in a row, it still didn't reach 5 stars. Including what I usually eat casually, I have eaten at least more than 200 fruits of perception. The same is true for the physique-enhancing fruit. The effect of Zhang Fan's consumption was very unobvious, and it seemed that the effect was worse than perceived. Zhang Fan couldn't help but guess. It's probably because the perception fruit is only 1 star, and contains less energy. It's difficult to upgrade to 5 stars. And the hollow fruit is 2 stars, and its energy is higher than the energy of the perception fruit, so it can be easily upgraded to 5 stars. In addition, there may be another reason. My body is not suitable for the physical enhancement fruit and the sensory fruit, and is more adaptable to the virtual fruit. In this case, Zhang Fan will not try again. Let's collect supplies first. Now, the entire empty house in the building belongs to me. Going through a wall is much faster than smashing into it. Zhang Fan spent more than half an hour searching all the unoccupied rooms above the 21st floor, and collected countless supplies. Tongyi, Master Kong, Baixiang and Jinmeilong are the 4 kings of instant noodles, with a total of more than 30 flavors. There are more than a dozen kinds of ham sausages. Various common packaged foods and beverages, ham, chocolate, biscuits, bread, spicy strips, duck neck, cola, beer, etc. Frozen chicken, fish, beef, lamb, and pork. Unopened oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar and various condiments. 0, total, complete taste. Furniture, electrical appliances, toilet paper, condoms, shampoo, soap, toothpaste, and various common medicines. Furniture and appliances were also moved. In short, Zhang Fan is still there. The daily necessities collected are enough for 10 people for 1 year. If all the empty rooms in the entire community are searched, there is no need to go to residential areas to collect supplies. It is better to go directly to a large supermarket, where there is a richer variety of supplies. Zhang Fan stood in a room on the 21st floor, and the red mist had reached knee height. Next door is Hu Lily's room. Zhang Fan saw her eating instant noodles. Hu Lily seemed reluctant to finish the meal. She ate half of it, kept half of it, and then put it in the refrigerator to freeze. This woman is so stupid. It's strange that she didn't spoil after eating half of it. Zhang Fan put Hu Lily in the back of his mind and continued to search for supplies. His heart moved, and his body passed through the floor and fell into the 20th floor. This layer was completely covered by red mist. The red mist indoors is barely lighter than outside. He looked with his eyes, and it was very blurry a few meters away. Standing in the bedroom and looking into the living room, I can barely see anything. But he uses his senses to see, but it is not affected at all. Zhang Fan raised his lips slightly and quickly put the materials in the room into the space. Then, Zhang Fan walked through the wall, walked into the next house, and continued searching. He just searched the 20th floor one by one, then went to the 19th floor, the 18th floor, the 17th floor. The lower the floor, the darker the room. The red mist blocks a lot of sunlight. The sun's rays barely shine through. On the 10th floor, the light outside was like a cloudy sky, ivy covered most of the windows, and the interior was extremely dark. Below the 5th floor, the brightness outside becomes like a moonlit night. It's even worse indoors. The glass is completely covered, and if you don't turn on the lights, the room will be completely dark. Coupled with the obstruction of the red mist, no one can be seen beyond 5 meters. However, perception remains unaffected. Zhang Fan stood in an empty room on the 2nd floor, looking at the ground on the 1st floor with a solemn expression. In perception, the lobby on the 1st floor has almost turned into a sea of plants. There's a faint glow everywhere, mostly yellow neutrals. A small number of plants emit red light and apparently attack humans. Among the plants, various insects and animals shuttle among them. Huge rats, cockroaches, and ants abound. Flies and dragonflies, shaped like drones, shuttle and hover among the plants. Most animals also have yellow light. In other words, it is unlikely to actively attack humans. It's probably their survival rules left over from the past. However, as time goes by and the competition for survival intensifies, it is difficult to say that these animals will not regard humans as prey. In addition, Zhang Fan also confirmed one thing. Perception can see the situation under the soil. The Fortune Center community was built relatively early and there is no parking lot downstairs. Below the ground is the foundation and soil. Zhang Fan saw various creatures in the soil, most of which were mice and earthworms, which posed little threat. Zhang Fan observed carefully for a few minutes and determined that there were no threats nearby. In order to minimize the exposed skin, Zhang Fan took out a thick jacket from his pocket and put on hard hiking shoes. After preparations were completed, Zhang Fan's heart moved. Disappear. Zhang Fan crossed the floor and landed on the 1st floor. There is no one in this room. One window was not closed securely. The ivy crawled in through the window cracks and grew all over the walls and roof. At this time, in Zhang Fan's perception, he suddenly saw a man and a woman walking cautiously, and finally came to the door. The woman held a flashlight to illuminate the scene while the man tinkered with tools outside the door for a while. Click. The door lock unlocked. Zhang Fan was surprised. What a guy, what a technical talent. For ordinary people, security doors are difficult to open. Even if Zhou Tianao were to give him a hammer, it would still take a lot of effort to forcefully break open the security door. This man is amazing. It takes a few minutes to open a door. The man turned to the woman proudly and said, "See, I just said it's very simple." He is a locksmith. Before the end of the world, he was just a low-level person who was not taken seriously by others. Now it's spring, the woman said in a sweet voice. "Brother Liu, you are so awesome," Liu Dongqiang said sternly. "Xiao Zhang, follow me and I promise you won't starve. That package of food and accommodation is nothing. No matter how much food he stores, he will always run out. Follow me. Let's drive past one house and drive to the next. Dong, I can feed you for at least 3 years." Zhang Fan secretly laughed. "It's a pity that you came a little late and I took all the supplies." Xiao Zhang said shyly, "Brother Liu, I am not a casual person." Having said that, the man and woman closed the door and began to gnaw at each other passionately. They couldn't even see a person standing in the red mist not far away. Zhang Fan glanced at the woman, and the system popped up a reminder. Zhang Yan. Age, 36. Quality, 7 points. Contrast young woman. Female ethics, 0 points. Comprehensive score, 0 points. Ding. Does not meet the minimum system requirements. Good guy, 0 points. Boss, it's really a long time to see you. Brother Locksmith, enjoy yourself. Zhang Fan paused for a moment of silence for the unlocking brother, and then his body slowly entered the ground. He controlled himself to fall into a depth of about 2 meters and walked forward in the soil. The feeling of walking in virtual reality underground is very novel. The surroundings are dark and the eyes cannot see anything, but the perception provides vision. Zhang Fan discovered that in his virtual state, he could not only pass through stones and soil, but also through creatures such as earthworms. 500 meters to the east, there is Yida shopping mall with a supermarket inside. Zhang Fan identified the direction and rushed towards Yida shopping mall. After Liu Dongqiang and Zhang Yan were passionate for a while, Zhang Yan was a little impatient and said patiently, "Brother Liu, don't stay outside." Liu Dongqiang's intention was still unclear. Okay, let's get some food first and then continue when we get back. Zhang Yan said coyly. The two began to search the room. It doesn't matter if you don't look at it, you will be shocked when you look at it. The whole room seemed to have been moved by a moving company, completely empty. Not to mention the food, even the furniture has disappeared. Lu Dongqiang scratched his head. Did this family move out? Let's find another one. Zhang Yan was a little disappointed, but didn't say anything. It was just bad luck. She can firmly control Lu Dongqiang, a blue chip stock in the apocalypse. Then let's switch to another one. Change. The two of them changed houses again. Still empty. Another one. Lu Dongqiang is numb. What's going on? Zhang Yan's expression was also wrong. Nothing. Lu Dongqiang hurriedly went to the house he had just visited the day before yesterday. He opened the door and saw it was empty. Lu Dongqiang trembled. Where is the stuff? I touched something dirty. He felt panic in his heart. The walls glowed dark red under the reflection of the red mist, looking eerie. Lu Dongqiang forced himself to calm down. In the past, he relied on his ability to open locks, so he didn't cherish the food he got and squandered a lot of it casually. Now there is not much food left at home. Who knew? Now we can't find food. Brother Lu said in confusion. Now we're in big trouble. Zhang Yan's face was gloomy. Waste. If everything in the room has been taken away, what use will the locksmith Lu Dongqiang have? She wanted to leave now. However, there is no good goal for leaving Lu Dongqiang. She could only endure it and glanced at Lu Dongqiang without leaving any trace. In any case, the ability to pick locks is still very useful in the end of the world. Lu Dongqiang was still confused. Zhang Yan remained calm, pretending to be frightened and asked. Brother Lu, what should I do if I don't have anything to eat? Lu Dongqiang was panicked and embarrassed. He was slapped in the face after he had boasted just now. He didn't know how to face Zhang Yan, and said with a red face. This. Zhang Yan whispered. How about, let's go to other people's houses at night, and get some. Steal. Lu Dongqiang was startled, and he quickly waved his hand. No, if we get caught by the police, we'll be in trouble. In peaceful times, he was a timid person who did not dare to cause trouble. Zhang Yan hates that iron cannot become steel. Brother Lu, can the police arrest you now? Look at how many people died this afternoon. Is anyone taking care of it? There is also that convenience store clerk who killed Coach Joe in public. Are the police here? Lu Dongqiang hesitated. This. Zhang Yan said aggrievedly. I know Brother Lu is a good man, but you don't think I said anything. I just can't bear to see you starve. She hugged Lu Dongqiang's body, rested her head on his shoulder, and said softly. No matter what Brother Lu chooses, Xiaozhong is willing to accompany you until the last moment. I just wish I hadn't met you a few years earlier and couldn't have given birth to your child. Alas, who made us unlucky? Lu Dongqiang's head banged. He has lived for more than 30 years, and no girl has ever been so gentle to him. What's more, a beautiful young woman with a plump figure like Zhang Yan. This is not the end of the world, it is clearly my own spring. Lu Dongqiang seemed to hear the evil bewitching voice. Yes, in this situation, can the police still come to arrest people? If I wait until midnight to quietly open the door and just steal something, who will find out? Lu Dongqiang gritted his teeth. Okay, I'm going to get some food tonight. I know someone who still has food. Zhang Yan's lowered eyes flashed, and the corners of her mouth raised quietly. Snort. This kind of stupid man is best played around with. Zhang Fan walked 100 meters underground, found a place with few plants, and went up to the ground. There is a parking lot in front of you. The original asphalt field is now covered with green grass. There is a road next to it, and the traffic lights are still working, and they are constantly switching red, yellow and green lights. Traffic light poles are covered with climbing plants. The metal pillar that was originally as thick as a saucer has now turned into a huge plant pillar that the two of them hugged. A rabbit as big as a pig was grazing in the grass half as tall as a man. Zhang Fan suddenly made an attack movement. The rabbit was startled, and jumped 7 or 8 meters high and more than 10 meters away. Rub rub rub. It disappeared in a matter of seconds. Zhang Fan allowed the rabbit to leave, silently calculating in his heart. The movement speed is a little faster than me, but not much, and the strength seems to be much worse than mine. If this kind of rabbit can survive in the wild, I can probably do it too. Zhang Fan had an idea in his mind. But this is only the current situation. Plant and animal evolution is still ongoing. The most obvious example is the height of the pine trees, which are still growing. And rats. Most mice grow to the size of a cat and become immobile. But there are still some extremely talented rats that are still growing in size, and they don't know when they will stop. Zhang Fan walked to the highway. The ground is covered with shrubs and weeds, and the asphalt is pierced. Walking on it will not pierce the soles of your shoes, but it is very difficult. However, ordinary vehicles should not be able to drive. If you drive any faster, the rubber tires will be easily punctured. You can't see 5 meters with your eyes, and everything is red. Fortunately, perception is not affected. There is a small supermarket with a closed door on the roadside. There was a man lying curled up on the ground, still alive, but in a very bad condition. After Zhang Fan walked for a while, a large piece of plant similar to cockleburr stuck to his trousers, which was very difficult to remove. It would be troublesome if a wound was scraped. Now that the virus has mutated, Zhang Fan doesn't know if his body can withstand it. Coupled with the waist-deep bushes everywhere, walking was extremely difficult. Zhang Fan thought for a while and decided to try a new method of blurring. Disappear. He was still walking on the ground, but his body passed through the bushes along the way. In this way, you can not only enjoy the advantages of passing through solids and liquids, but also move in a straight line. There is no need to sink to the ground, where the movement speed will be slowed down by the soil, and breathing will be uncomfortable. After a while, Zhang Fan arrived in front of Yida Plaza. The shopping mall that used to be bustling with traffic is now completely silent. The gate of Yida Plaza was closed tightly, as if it had been closed urgently when the red mist came. There are no ivy here, but the weeds are much taller than those in the Fortune Center, over 1.5 meters tall. Women who are slightly shorter cannot see the grass. The grass is full of giant insects such as grasshoppers, crickets, and mantises. Especially the praying mantis, which exudes a faint red light, is very difficult to mess with at first sight. Zhang Fan walked through the gate. The interior of the mall was gloomy and dark, and there was not a single survivor. Zhang Fan couldn't find the light switch, so he could only take out a flashlight and use his senses to search for supplies. He simply identified the direction and went straight to the supermarket inside Yida Plaza. As soon as I entered the supermarket, I saw several corpses lying on the ground. The flesh and blood had been completely eaten away, leaving only the white bones with tooth marks and a lot of mutilated parts. They were probably dragged away by some kind of animal. Judging from the torn clothes next to the corpse, these people should be the security guards of the square. Zhang Fan was secretly vigilant. However, there is indeed no danger in the 50-meter range perceived, only some animals such as mice and flies. As soon as Zhang Fan walked into the supermarket, he smelled a strong rancid smell. The fresh food area upon entering suddenly turned into a huge garbage dump. A large amount of meat, vegetables, and fruits were completely rotten and exuded an indescribable stench. Flies were flying around. Rats and cockroaches crawled all over the floor. Ah! Zhang Fan covered his nose and passed quickly to other areas. The products are placed in rows on the shelves, with no sign that anyone has been there. Zhang Fan guessed that when the red mist first came, Yida Plaza was temporarily closed to avoid problems, leaving only a few security guards. At the beginning, people may still be waiting for rescue at home. As a result, all things evolved at the speed of light, and plants grew wildly and animals became larger, which was beyond the reach of people even if they thought about it. It's all mine. Zhang Fan chuckled and took all the supplies into his bag without hesitation. Whether it's tobacco, alcohol, pots and pans, bedding, clothes, paper towels or mops, Zhang will accept everyone who comes. Even the shelves and shopping carts were left alone. Zhang Fan searched the mall and finally found the warehouse area. In front of you is a huge shelf, with the top reaching straight to the roof. There is no end in sight, and it disappears into the red mist. The shelves were filled with boxes of unopened merchandise. The quantity is several times more than what is displayed outside. It took Zhang Fan half an hour to put all the goods and shelves into the space, and the 2 forklifts used for loading and unloading the goods were also put into the space. There is also a large cold storage in the warehouse, which is still working normally. Zhang Fan opened the cold storage door and saw boxes of frozen meat neatly arranged. Fish, pork, beef, mutton, chicken, there are so many kinds, there is no shortage of them all. Zhang Fan was reluctant to buy many of the expensive ingredients before, but now they were all placed in front of him for him to take. Haha, with these things, I won't have to worry about eating and drinking for the rest of my life. Zhang Fan swept them away without ceremony. Finally, he found the security monitoring room. The monitoring system was still running normally, but it was obscured by the red mist and no useful information was recorded at all. In order to prevent others from discovering that he had done it, Zhang Fan unplugged the monitoring server, didn't bother to destroy the hard drive, and simply threw it into the portable space. Yida Plaza has a total of 4 floors. There are shops and restaurants on it, and there are probably some supplies, but they are not important anymore. Zhang Fan checked the time on his phone. It's getting late, come back tomorrow during the day. Now the survivors are all hungry, and maybe some are bold enough to do it to themselves. After Zhang Fan left, the dark Yida Plaza fell into dead silence again. Suddenly, a light blue round film as big as a washbasin appeared out of thin air in the air more than 2 meters high. The circular film vibrated slightly, creating ripples and circles, just like the water surface. After a while, a loli with twin ponytails poked her head out of the blue film. She held a flashlight and looked around cautiously. It's indeed Yida, Loli said proudly after seeing the rows of shelves. I'm such a genius. She struggled through the blue film and jumped into the supermarket. Unfortunately, the height was higher than she expected, and she fell on her buttocks. Oops, ouch, my butt hurts so much. Loli burst into tears. After a long time, she stood up with tears in her eyes and her buttocks rubbed. There was dead silence. Under the illumination of the flashlight, the red mist exudes a strange blood-red color. Loli was so scared that she wanted to open the door and go home immediately, but there was no food at home, so she could only take risks. Loli tremblingly held up the flashlight and began to explore carefully. Fortunately, she was very familiar with Yida Plaza and quickly found the supermarket entrance. Looking at the dark entrance, Loli swallowed hard and walked down bravely. When you enter the door, you will see the fresh fruit section, which exudes a disgusting rotten smell and has flies buzzing around. Loli covered her nose and walked quickly, finally arriving at the supermarket shelf. Ah, where are the shelves? Loli looked at the empty venue in confusion. Did the people at Yida Plaza move all the supplies away? Loli was hesitating whether to look for the warehouse area. Suddenly, a pair of huge green eyes appeared at the end of the flashlight light. An orange cat that was as big as a tiger walked out slowly, tilting its head and looking at Loli. Meow, it seemed to smell the same kind of scent on Loli. Oh my god, Loli was so frightened that her ponytails almost stood up. Don't come over here. While shedding tears, she made a stroke with her hand. A blue line appears in front of you. Loli grabbed the blue thread with both hands, pulled it to both sides, and then tore open a blue film, and got in with a pissed-off look. Bo! The blue film disappeared. The orange cat tilted its head and looked at Loli's position just now. It couldn't understand how the two-legged beast disappeared. The orange cat walked slowly, sniffed around, and then left bored. Bipeds are so afraid of me, I must be a god. Zhang Fan rose from the ground, facing the first-floor lobby of Building C of the Fortune Center. He looked back and saw that there was no trace of the road in the community, completely submerged in the endless plants. Human civilization is finished. Zhang Fan sighed. Just as he was about to go upstairs, an accident happened suddenly. An object with an evil red light all over its body pierced into his range of perception like lightning. In the blink of an eye, time seemed to freeze. Zhang Fan's consciousness was not affected, and several thoughts flashed through him in an instant. What the hell? It's targeting me. Must stay away. Zhang Fan tried his best to move his body, but no matter how hard he tried, it was very difficult to move, like an insect trapped in sticky glue. No, it's not that I'm too slow. It's that my consciousness has become faster, but my body can't keep up. Compared with Zhang Fan's speed, the strip-shaped monster was like a speeding car, dragging a bright and terrifying red light towards him. Zhang Fan finally saw clearly. The strip-shaped monster is actually a tongue. It's that mutant frog. Zhang Fan reacted instantly. This tongue has become thicker than when it was eating that woman. What to do? Zhang Fan's body moved inch by inch. At the last moment when the tongue hit his body, Zhang Fan knew that he would never be able to escape. He made his final response. Void. The next moment, the giant tongue passed through Zhang Fan's body and hit the air. The giant tongue hit the wall next to it hard, making a big hole the size of a bucket, and penetrated the wall. The moment the giant tongue passed through the phantom of Zhang Fan's body, Zhang Fan felt weak all over and his physical strength was consumed rapidly. It's so powerful. It takes a lot of energy to penetrate its tongue. If it passes through its body, Zhang Fan estimates that his physical strength will be exhausted in an instant. Without saying a word, he immediately sank into the ground. The tongue retracted with a hiss. Quack, quack, came the loud cry of the frog. The sound was so loud that even Zhang Fan, 2 meters below the ground, could hear it. At this time, a frog as big as a car jumped into Zhang Fan's 50-meter sensing range. In Zhang Fan's perception, the mutant frog's body was emitting a dazzling light, like the sun in the sky. Compared with the brightness of the light on Zhang Fan's body, it can barely be considered brighter. Inside the frog's body, there is a bright ginger-like object, but it is blue, much brighter than the ginger inside Zhang Fan, and it has more branches. Zhang Fan looked at it solemnly. There is a flaw in my perception. If an enemy attacks from 50 meters away, it is difficult for me to detect it. The mutated frog's tongue is more than 50 meters away. The mutated frog beat slowly and made loud calls from time to time. Guagua, guagua. It patrols its territory like a king. Wherever the mutant frog went, all the animals hid, hiding their bodies and not daring to make a sound. The mutated frog suddenly shoots its tongue into the air. A huge cat was dragged back and swallowed easily. Throughout the process, the cat had almost no ability to resist. Although the mutated frog is powerful, it poses no threat to Zhang Fan underground. Zhang Fan hid underground and calmly watched this scene. The mutant frog doesn't move very fast, but its tongue is too fast. In addition, it should have the ability to detect distant prey, otherwise it would not be able to catch prey from such a distance. Based on brightness, its combat power is at least 3 times that of mine. It's really strange. How did it do it? Did it also eat many kinds of enlightenment fruits? However, it doesn't seem to have a high IQ. After hitting the air, it seemed to have forgotten about me and had no intention of continuing to search for me. Under Zhang Fan's gaze, the mutated frog left leisurely. Zhang Fan waited for a few more minutes before cautiously arriving under a room on the first floor, leaving the ground and ascending to the first floor. Zhang Fan pushed his legs hard, jumped slightly, and his head touched the roof. Disappear. Zhang Fan passed through the floor and jumped to the second floor. He walked all the way through the walls and floors, avoiding all occupied rooms, and returned to Tang Shiru's room. Tang Shiru was looking out the window in a daze, with a worried look on her face. Xu Mengqian scrolled through her phone, feeling a little restless. Zhang Fan had been away for too long, which made the 2 girls very nervous. A lot happened today. The 4 men in Block A killed strong women, and the killing in the afternoon made them completely understand that the order was finally chaotic, and they would never be able to return to their peaceful life. When the last illusion was shattered, they relied heavily on Zhang Fan. Neither woman is stupid. In troubled times, if a beautiful woman is not protected by a strong man, she will eventually become someone else's plaything. Whoosh! Zhang Fan suddenly jumped up from under the floor. The 2 girls were startled, and when they saw it was Zhang Fan, they immediately breathed a sigh of relief and couldn't help but feel happy. Brother Zhang, you're back. The food will be ready soon. Brother Zhang, thank you for your hard work. Drink some water. The 2 women hugged Zhang Fan's arm. Zhang Fan felt relieved. The company of 2 beautiful beauties relieved a lot of his psychological pressure. It's getting late. Zhang Fan took out a lot of food. Potato chips, canned food, frozen fish, frozen shrimp, a whole black pork chop. The 2 girls' eyes shone and their hearts settled down. Xu Mengqian took the initiative to speak. I went to cook. Tang Shiru was not to be outdone. I'll give you a hand. She is also ready to learn to cook. Xu Mengqian glanced at her unhappily. While Xu Mengqian was cooking, countless people screamed from outside the balcony. Zhang Fan turned around and saw that all the lights in the community next door to the fortune center were out. Has the power finally gone out? Zhang Fan watched silently. He had expected this scene. Crazy growing plants will always damage some electrical equipment. In fact, Zhang Fan was surprised that Mahai City's water, electricity, and gas could last until now. Through the moonlight, Zhang Fan vaguely saw some people running to the balcony in panic and looking outside. When they discovered that the entire community had a power outage, they made unexplained screams of fear. In the terrifying end of evolution, human beings have lost their light and their ability to survive has naturally been greatly reduced. And this is more than 20 stories high. If it is below the 20th floor, it will be completely submerged in red mist, and the surrounding area will fall into complete darkness, which will probably scare people out of their wits. Xu Mengqian and Tang Shiru also stood at the window and looked across. The two girls were very worried. We won't have a power outage here, right? Zhang Fan said calmly. There will definitely be a power outage. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, sooner or later. Modern cities are actually very fragile. The two women's faces turned slightly pale. A power outage means a water outage. Gas will certainly not last long. At the same time, large-scale power outages will cause base stations to shut down, the network will gradually become paralyzed, and messages will be completely cut off. Zhang Fan turned on his mobile phone and searched for power outages, only to discover that this was not the first case of power outages. Various cities have already experienced power outages of varying degrees. After some thermal power plants exhausted their stored coal, the staff who were still working at the power plants had no way to replenish fuel and had no choice but to shut down. The solar panels on the desert, covered by endless weeds, also failed. Only hydroelectric power stations can barely function. However, as a large number of devices are damaged and offline, it is only a matter of time before they stop running. The power grid that Longguo is proud of is gradually being destroyed. With the lack of electricity, human living conditions will deteriorate to the extreme, and modern cities will become the most terrifying colosseums. Human beings not only have to fight for survival against the terrifying nature, but also kill and compete with their own kind. Cities are dangerous, and sparsely populated rural areas are not optimistic either. Although the competition between humans there is not as fierce as in the city, there are more plants in the countryside, and they have to face a far more terrifying natural environment than in the city. The two girls had a restless meal. Facing the impending power outage, Zhang Fan was also worried. I still want to become stronger. The living environment is getting worse and worse, and only one's own strength is the most reliable. Zhang Fan took out a handful of enlightenment fruit and ate it. Late at night, 2 o'clock, Chen Yun still couldn't sleep. She shivered on the bed, covered her head and looked at the quiet room. Zhou Tianao is dead, and Song Jia is also dead. Originally, the three of them lived together, so she didn't feel too scared. Now she was alone, and the bedroom was emitting a strange red light under the light. The living room was even darker. Chen Yun was restless, always feeling like a monster would jump out of the darkness. At the same time, the bloody scene of Zhang Fan squeezing Zhou Tianao to death with one hand in the afternoon played out repeatedly in her mind. The men are dead, what will I do? Chen Yun finally saw the most terrifying aspect of the apocalypse. She deeply regretted that she should not have encouraged Zhou Tianao to deal with Zhang Fan. That kid Zhang Fan is so shady. He is so strong, but he has never shown it in the group. Chen Yun began to wonder whether the food in Zhang Fan's hand had been stored in advance. Could it be that he robbed someone else? Chen Yun's scalp was numb. Zhang Fan had so much food, how many stores did he rob? Will he come to take revenge on me? At this moment, the door lock made a slight clanging sound. Chen Yun was frightened. Who came to open my door in the middle of the night? Could it be Zhang Fan? Chen Yun almost cried. Zhang Fan is here to kill me. Grass, I will fight with you. Chen Yunbiao's strong character came into play. She gritted her teeth and picked up the baseball bat beside the bed. She turned off the lights and walked to the door in the dark, trembling all over as she waited. The door made an inaudible friction sound and opened gently. The beam of flashlight shone in. A man and a woman stood outside the door. Chen Yun faced the light and couldn't see clearly who it was, holding her breath behind the door. The woman suddenly spoke. I didn't turn on the light, so I must have fallen asleep. Let's keep it down and kill that fool. Zhou Tianao must have looted a lot of food. The man said nervously. Xiao Zhang, there's no need to kill people, let's just steal some food and leave. The two people are Lu Dongqiang and Zhang Yan. Zhang Yan pinched her throat and said, "What are you afraid of? Who would know that it was you who did it? Zhou Tianao and the other fitness instructor are dead, and there is only one left. Kill her and let's search. I don't believe that Zhou Tianao didn't go robbing after he got the superpower." Quote, "You girl know that I kill people." Lu Dongqiang was very resistant. It's better not to kill anyone. He just covets Zhang Yan's beauty, but he is not stupid. If he kills someone and Zhang Yan takes advantage of him, won't he be taken advantage of even more in the future? This day's interaction made him feel that Zhang Yan was not an easy woman to get along with. Moreover, Zhang Yan was so good at playing in bed, which made him deeply doubt, this girl is so experienced, is she really a good woman? Lu Dongqiang scratched his crotch while thinking. I don't know why, but I feel very itchy down there today. When Chen Yun heard what the two said, she was shocked and angry. Smelly fool, he will kill me at every turn. I stole your man. Yes, these two people don't look familiar. The lock-picking ability is very useful in the apocalypse. Why can't you grab this man? As a rune mage, she has great experience in tearing apart and robbing men. The key is how to gain the trust of this locksmith as soon as possible. The two walked into the room with their backs to Chen Yun. Zhang Yan rolled her eyes and said again, "Do you want to know how Zhou Tianao obtained his superpowers? How about we arrest that woman and interrogate her?" Boom! A stick hit her hard on the head. Zhang Yan fell to the ground like a log. Lu Dongqiang was startled and quickly took a step back. He raised the kitchen knife in his hand and shined the flashlight. Who? He saw a woman, the one beside Zhou Tianao. Lu Dongqiang looked at Chen Yun in surprise, and then he realized that he had been tricked by the other party. Clang! Chen Yun took the initiative to throw the baseball bat on the ground and said, "Master, brother, it's me, I'm Chen Yun. Don't kill me, I want to cooperate with you." Lu Dongqiang was stunned for a moment. The woman threw away the weapon, and the tension in her heart eased a lot. She kicked the baseball bat aside with her feet, and then observed Zhang Yan's injuries. Zhang Yan is finished. Blood flowed all over the floor, and he couldn't breathe. Lu Dongqiang was shocked and angry, waving his kitchen knife and saying, "You killed my woman and you still cooperated with me." Chen Yun gritted her teeth and decisively opened her collar, revealing a large expanse of white. "Brother, I am also a woman, and I will follow you." What the? Lu Dongqiang felt dizzy. Chen Yun is also a female coach in the gym. She is tall and has a flat belly with no trace of fat. 3 inches below her navel, there is a purple succubus rune tattooed on her, which is full of temptation under the contrast of her snow-white skin. Lu Dongqiang swallowed hard. Is this the end of the world? This girl is in heaven. How could such a woman like him before? Now women pounce on him one after another. Lu Dongqiang plucked up the courage and asked, "How do you want to cooperate?" Seeing Lu Dongqiang's softened attitude, Chen Yun took the initiative to step forward, hugged the man's arm between his chest, and said in a tired voice, "What's your surname, brother?" Lu Dongqiang squinted his eyes to enjoy the softness and smiled. "My surname is Lu Dongqiang." What a name! Chen Yun rubbed Lu Dongqiang's arm against his body and whispered, "I know how Zhou Tianao obtained his abilities." Lu Dongqiang's eyes suddenly lit up. Real. Lu Dongqiang felt itchy in his crotch and scratched his crotch again. Chen Yun thought Lu Dongqiang was impatient and disdainful in his heart, but on the surface he nodded vigorously. "Do you know why he targeted Zhang Fan today?" Lu Dongqiang was stunned for a moment. "Who is Zhang Fan?" Chen Yun whispered. "That's the man who killed Zhou Tianao today. His name in the group is Bao Fang Bao Lodging. His name is Zhang Fan, and he has a girlfriend named Song Xian who often goes to my gym to exercise." Lu Dongqiang nodded. "Well, let's continue. Why is Zhou Tianao targeting Zhang Fan?" Chen Yun said, "For the superpower. I saw with my own eyes that Zhou Tianao gained superpower after eating a black lychee. Zhang Fan was in the group asking for a black lychee, and Zhou Tianao saw it and thought Zhang Fan still had one in his hand." Black lychee. Lu Dongqiang thought of the photo Zhang Fan posted in the group. "I see. Many people with superpowers have posted videos online, but so far they have not disclosed how they obtained their superpowers." Lu Dongqiang, like many people, instinctively believes that people with superpowers are just lucky enough to awaken inexplicably. It turned out to be black lychee. I also want superpowers. Lu Dongqiang's heart was burning and he said in a deep voice. Zhang Fan still has a black lychee in his hand. Yeah, but he probably has already eaten it. Chen Yun analyzed. Zhou Tianou's strength is about twice as strong as before. Zhang Fan squeezed Zhou Tianou to death with one hand, and his strength was obviously far greater than Zhou Tianou. He must have gained the ability after eating that black lychee. In addition, if Zhang Fan didn't know, the effect of black lychee will not be purchased in the group. Lu Dongqiang said regretfully. Alas, then what's the use of talking about this now? Stupid. Chen Yun was disdainful in her heart, but on the surface she said enthusiastically. Brother Lu, think about it. Black lychees are so weird. Who would dare to eat them? What if someone has them but doesn't dare to eat them? Isn't it just because of this possibility that he can buy them in the group? If you want to buy, of course we can also buy. This. Lu Dongqiang felt something was wrong. With something as important as the superpower fruit, how could Zhang Fan allow himself to compete with him? But his desire for supernatural powers made him ignore the danger. But how can we have as much food as Zhang Fan? We can't even compete in the bidding. Chen Yun whispered. We deliberately offered a higher price than Zhang Fan. As long as someone contacts us, what else should we buy? It would be easier to just go to his house and steal. Lu Dongqiang's eyes shone. Good idea. The two chatted for a while, then threw Zhang Yan's body downstairs, and then posted a message in the group saying, 10 packs of instant noodles, looking to buy black lychees. After finishing their business, the two fools nibbled together and quickly rolled onto the bed. The night passed. The woman fell asleep. Zhang Fan was still in high spirits and did not feel tired at all. As his overall physical fitness increased, his sleep also became less. He took a nap for 30 minutes and then got up energetically. It's daybreak. Zhang Fan took out 5 boxes of milk and a dozen braised eggs and started eating them. This is also the impact of increased overall physical fitness. The food intake has increased a lot. If it had been any other survivor, they might have starved. Zhang Fan didn't care. He won't be short of food at all. After eating and drinking, Zhang Fan took out his mobile phone. It took a long time to connect to the internet, but the signal got worse and worse. He received private messages from more than a dozen women. Handsome guy, can we chat? Brother, food and accommodation are included, do you think I can do that? I have fair skin, good looks, and long legs. As long as you give me instant noodles every day, I can do whatever I want. I guarantee your satisfaction. Food is becoming increasingly scarce, and many people have exceeded their bottom line. Zhang Fan scanned them and found that the scores were all very low. None of them met the requirements of the system, so he blocked all these women. After the death incident yesterday, the Wealth Center group became a lot quieter, with few people talking all night. Only Mrs. Xu scolded Li Qingchuan in the group, saying that he had killed her grandson. I sent hundreds of messages. Li Qingchuan only retorted at the beginning, and then stopped talking. Zhang Fan also saw Chen Yun looking to buy black lychees in the group. Chen Yun, isn't she the rune mage next to Zhou Tianou? By the way, she must have speculated after seeing Zhou Tianou gain abilities after eating black lychees. Zhang Fan frowned slightly. He had known for a long time that the black lychee matter could not be hidden for long. Because he also saw the news from the internet, it has probably spread in many places. But now that someone is competing with him, it still makes him very unhappy. He used his perception to look at room 1708. A man and a woman are sleeping together. The woman's silhouette looks like that of the rune mage next to Zhou Tianou, with a very good figure. The man's silhouette looks familiar. It seems to be the locksmith. Why did these two people get together again? Zhang Fan thought about it for a while but didn't care. Just bid. Wouldn't it be easier for me to snatch it out of Chen Yun's hands after she buys it? Zhang Fan made up his mind and didn't bother to talk to the two of them, leaving them behind. At this moment, a message automatically popped up on Zhang Fan's phone. Building C number 2104. I am really not a fox. Can you please give me diarrhea medicine? I want to buy some medicine. Diarrhea. Zhang Fan looked at Hu Lily on the 21st floor. I saw her lying on the bed, curled up in a ball, and the light on her body was very dim. Suddenly, she got up and rushed to the bathroom. Food and shelter included. Are you having diarrhea? Building C number 2104. I'm really not a fox, yeah. Zhang Fan frowned. Can diarrhea be cured now? He doesn't know either. Diarrhea used to be just a minor illness, but it's different now. The virus is also mutating rapidly. Who knows whether the previous drugs are still effective? Also, how did she get diarrhea? If he was infected with some horrible virus, then Zhang Fan would definitely turn around and leave without even looking at Hu Lili, so as not to infect himself. Food and accommodation included. What's going on? Block C number 2104. I'm really not a fox. I saved half of the instant noodles I ate yesterday and froze them in the refrigerator. I thought it was fine, so I ate them, and then. Zhang Fan was speechless. Food and accommodation included. You were really smart. Zhang Fan also breathed a sigh of relief. As long as it's not some kind of virulent virus. Maybe there's still some hope. Block C number 2104. I am really not a fox. Brother, please, you must have medicine, right? Hu Lili held her stomach, stood up from the toilet with difficulty, moved to the room, and fell weakly on the bed. Continuous diarrhea made her almost dehydrated. Being sick at this time made her very desperate. Food and accommodation are included. I have norfloxacin and montmorillonite powder for children. Hu Lili was pleasantly surprised. Building C number 2104. I am really not a fox. I buy it. I buy it. I also have a diamond necklace. Zhang Fan sneered. What's a stone worth? Just wait for me and I'll be there soon. Zhang Fan found the medicine from his pocket and his body sank to the floor. Soon, he jumped into Hu Lili's room and landed directly by her window. Hu Lili was frightened when she saw Zhang Fan walking across the floor strangely. You. Zhang Fan was too lazy to talk nonsense to her and took out 2 boxes of medicine. Hu Lili ignored her fear and said in surprise. Thank you, brother. Zhang Fan said calmly. Don't be pretentious. How much is a verbal thank you worth? If you want medicine, yes, what can you give? Hu Lili was angry. You are taking advantage of others' danger. Taking advantage of others' danger. Zhang Fan smiled. When you are in the supermarket, a bottle of water is worth only $1. When you are trapped in the desert, a bottle of water is worth thousands of gold. Different things naturally have different prices at different times and in different places. I'm the most reasonable person. A deal is a deal. I won't force you if you don't agree, but don't expect me to save you. Hu Lili held her stomach and said weakly and angrily. Can human lives be traded? Zhang Fan looked at her coldly. Don't kidnap me with human life and morality. I don't do that. Besides, pharmaceutical companies have never reduced prices for patients who can't afford medicines before. Why don't you scold them? Don't waste time. Give me an answer. Quote. Hu Lili was desperate. I. Zhang Fan was not anxious at all and looked at Hu Lili calmly. Hu Lili's stomach felt cramping again, and she said painfully. Okay, I agree. Give me the medicine quickly. She held out her hand, very urgently. Zhang Fan sneered. Did you make a mistake? Now you are begging me to save you. Are you begging for help? Hu Lili's eyes were red. Why are you like this? Do you still have any sympathy? Zhang Fan sneered. Sympathy. In the last days, the more compassion you have, the faster you will die. Don't you dare to play this trick on me. In the past, have you ever sympathized with the beggar on the roadside? No. Then what qualifications do you have to criticize others? Everyone is just the same. In my opinion, you are no better than the beggar on the roadside. Almost like a beggar. Zhang Fan leaned down, looked directly into Hu Lili's eyes, and said word by word. If I give you medicine, you can live. If I don't give you medicine, you will die. What qualifications do you think you have to negotiate with me? Hu Lili collapsed. Please, give me the medicine. Ha ha ha. Zhang Fan laughed. That's right, that's how you behave. He threw 2 boxes of medicine to Hu Lili. Hu Lili quickly tore open the package and swallowed it. At this time, she couldn't help but feel abdominal pain and stumbled into the bathroom. After a few minutes, he walked out weakly, holding on to the wall. He looked like he had severe diarrhea. Zhang Fan didn't know if she could survive, the rest depended on her own luck. Zhang Fan left behind several boxes of Snickers, Coke and other high-energy foods, as well as several boxes of pure water before leaving. Hu Lili watched Zhang Fan jump onto the floor and leave, feeling envious and with mixed feelings in her heart. The day passed peacefully. Zhang Fan didn't go out either, so he quickly downloaded the offline map and some important information. The internet will be gone soon, and this information will be very valuable. He fed the husky 2 more times. Zhang Fan became more and more confident in subduing Bai Yan, so he simply brought it into his room, but he only let it live in his own rental house and was not allowed to enter Tang Shiru's room. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Fan noticed that the light on Hu Lili's body had recovered a lot, and she was almost like a normal person. It seems that the diarrhea has been basically cured and the medicine is still useful. Zhang Fan came to Hu Lili's house. Hu Lili was eating a Snickers bar when she was startled by a man who suddenly jumped out of the floor. Zhang Fan looked at her face and saw that her diarrhea was better. She had replenished enough energy and water, and she felt much more energetic. Zhang Fan didn't say anything, just looked at her lightly. Hu Lili didn't dare to play tricks and could only say, "Wait for me to clean up." The scene of Zhang Fan squeezing Zhou Tianao to death shocked everyone. Zhang Fan said casually, "No, just take all your things with you." After saying that, he walked around the room. Wherever he went, things quickly disappeared. Hu Lili was dumbfounded. This is magic. Zhang Fan glanced at her. "This is my ability, space. So, as long as you follow me, you don't have to worry about eating and drinking in the future. I have already collected enough food." Hu Lili was pleasantly surprised, and the resistance in her heart was reduced a lot. With Hu Lili, we could only take the stairs. The two returned to Tang Shiru's house. When Tang Shiru opened the door, she saw Hu Lili and felt aggrieved. Hu Lili's figure was hot and her size far exceeded that of ordinary people, which made Tang Shiru very wary. However, she did not show it on her face. Instead, she said softly, "Brother Zhang, you are back. What is the name of this beauty?" Hu Lili's face turned slightly red. Zhang Fan said casually, "Hu Lili." Tang Shiru knew that she couldn't stop her, so she could only pretend to be a big lady, took the initiative to hold Hu Lili's arm and said with a smile, "Hello, we will be sisters from now on." Hu Lili was at a loss, shy and surprised. She never expected that Tang Shiru, the most famous second-generation official beauty in the community, would be so resigned. Zhang Fan was very satisfied with Tang Shiru's performance and smiled lightly. Tang Shiru introduced, "Hu Lili, this is Xu Mengqian, she is also our sister." Xu Mengqian didn't have a good look on her face. She looked Hu Lili up and down. She couldn't suppress the jealousy in her heart. She wanted to take the opportunity to test Zhang Fan's bottom line, so she pouted and said, "Ha, men are all big pigs." Snapped. Before she finished speaking, Zhang Fan slapped her in the face. The slap was so hard that Xu Mengqian's head buzzed and blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. "Are you trying to trick me?" Zhang Fan sneered. "Why, have you been embarrassed in the past 2 days? How dare you talk to me like this?" Xu Mengqian immediately realized that Zhang Fan was not a man like Hu Lei and had no control at all. "It's over." Her heart sank, and she quickly used the gentle offensive. The eye circles quickly turned red, tears dripped down, the skin was white as snow, and the tip of the nose was red. "I cried so hard that I felt pity for him. Brother Zhang, I. When she saw Tang Shiru gloating over her misfortune, she was furious. Xu Mengqian cried while thinking quickly about how to deal with the predicament at hand. Zhang Fan clearly saw that the light on Xu Mengqian's body changed from green back to yellow. Zhang Fan's eyes flashed sharply. "You eat my food and drink my food, but your attitude toward me is still neutral. Get out of here." Xu Mengqian was shocked. Zhang Fan couldn't help but pick up Xu Mengqian, opened the door and threw her a few meters out. Boom! The door is closed directly. Xu Mengqian fell so hard that she almost lost her breath, but she could no longer care about the pain and became panicked. It turned out that Zhang Fan was not trying to scare her. Only then did she remember that Zhang Fan had a sense and could see a woman's attitude towards him. Just now, my mentality changed slightly, and the other party discovered it. Xu Mengqian rolled on the ground and threw herself on the door, banging on it and crying miserably. "No, Brother Zhang. Don't abandon me. Don't abandon me." I was wrong. I was so wrong. I never dare to do it again. Tang Shiru was horrified to see it. In the apocalypse, she is lucky to be able to hold the lap of a man like Zhang Fan. Don't think too much. Zhang Fan opened the smart peephole and looked through the doorway. Don't knock on the door. Kneel outside and reflect. When will I see you turn green? When will you be able to come in? Otherwise, just ask for happiness. Hu Lily saw such a scene as soon as she entered the door and was a little overwhelmed. Besides, she couldn't understand what Zhang Fan was saying. What green? What neutrality? What are these talking about? The banging on the door soon stopped. Xu Mengqian did not dare to knock on the door. She suppressed her fear and knelt down outside the door, sobbing softly. The most troublesome thing now is how to change his attitude towards Zhang Fan into a friendly one. Xu Mengqian could only cry and brainwash herself. Brother Zhang is my man, I must listen to him. Brother Zhang is my man, I must listen to him. Zhang Fan turned off the smart cat eye screen, looked at the two women in the room with sharp eyes, and sneered. Do you think I'm cruel? Hu Lily felt her heart beating wildly. No, no. Tang Shiru quickly lowered her head. Of course not. Brother Zhang, don't worry, I won't be as stupid as her. Zhang Fan chuckled. Remember, don't be smart, and don't use this little trick to test me. If you hit him with a stick, you will be given another red date. Zhang Fan took out a perception fruit and handed it to Hu Lily. It's for you, eat it. Hu Lily said in surprise. Is this the black lychee I gave you? Can you eat it? Zhang Fan smiled. This thing is called a superpower fruit. If you eat it, you can get superpowers. Zhang Fan briefly explained the role of perception. He planned to give every woman the ability to perceive, which can avoid many dangers. However, Zhang Fan will not give out powerful fruits, such as virtualization and physical enhancement, at will. It depends on the performance of the woman. Hu Lily finally understood what Zhang Fan was saying just now, but she was shocked. Is this the source of superpowers? Why are you giving such an important thing to me? In addition, he bought one from me and gave me another as a gift. He made no profit at all and gave me several bags of instant noodles for free. Is it just to save me? Could it be that this man is actually cold-hearted and kind-hearted? Hu Lily couldn't help but think about it. Inexplicably, she also felt that Xu Mengqian was a little too much. In an era like the end of the world, if a man is willing to take in a woman, protect you, feed you, clothe you, and give you superpowers, what more do you want? When a man saves you, he can't do nothing for you. Hu Lily ate the fruit of perception in her thoughts. Ding! Hu Lily consumes one enlightenment fruit perception and returns 400 fruits. It has been put into the portable space. Xu Mengqian knelt outside the door for 20 hours. Zhang Fan saw the light on her body turn green, but still ignored her. Xu Mengqian was hungry, thirsty and scared, and finally fainted. Only then did Zhang Fan ask the two women to drag Xu Mengqian into the room. After Xu Mengqian woke up, she looked at Zhang Fan with a timid and aggrieved look. Zhang Fan ignored her and looked at his phone casually. Several more women in the group contacted me and asked to sell themselves, but none of them met the system's scoring requirements. Beauties of this level like Tang Shiru, Hu Lily, and Xu Mengqian are at least 1 in 1,000. It is pure luck that 3 wealth centers can appear. Boom! Suddenly there was the sound of a helicopter in the sky. Several people looked outside. I saw an armed helicopter passing by from low altitude. A loud announcement came from the plane. Dear citizens, according to the plan, the herbicide will be sprayed in half an hour. All citizens are asked to stay indoors and do not go out within 4 hours after sowing. This herbicide is the latest research result of Lonk Academy. After repeated tests, it can effectively kill a large number of plants. The country has the ability to protect the safety of every citizen. Please persist in saving yourself and don't give up hope. The earth belongs to mankind, and we will eventually become the masters of the earth again. Countless people emerged from the surrounding residential buildings. They roared excitedly to the sky to vent their despair during this period. The country finally takes action. Tang Shiru said in surprise. The country finally takes action. Xu Mengqian and Hu Lily also became happy. When they heard the national action, they seemed to see hope of returning to the past. You can go shopping, you can chat, you can dress up beautifully. Herbicide. Zhang Fan frowned slightly. If it is said that the end of evolution can be ended so easily, he does not believe it. Because of the Enlightenment fruit and supernatural powers, he felt that this apocalypse was not as simple as natural evolution. Moreover, even if the plants are killed, will the apocalypse be over? What to do about the red mist? As long as humans only have a 5-meter field of vision in the red mist, traffic will never be restored. In short, Zhang Fan does not have high hopes for the country's response. However, since the country has taken action, it means that high-level organizations still exist and there is hope for the restoration of order. Zhang Fan didn't want to live naked in the primeval forest and be a savage. As for him killing Zhou Tianao in public, Zhang Fan was not too worried. How many humans have died these days? At least 1/3. With so many survivors, how many have blood on their hands? At least hundreds of millions. How can the state control so many people? Kill them all. That's crazy. Aren't you afraid that these people will rebel directly? It is said that the law does not punish everyone, and this is true. Moreover, even if the country can re-establish order, powerful superpowers, as strong men in the new era, will inevitably be able to enter the upper class and become members of the ruling class. Therefore, Zhang Fan is not anxious at all. No matter what the outcome is, he will be the beneficiary. Zhang Fan looked out the window quietly, feeling as calm as sitting and watching the clouds. Xu Mengqian, go cook, I won't go out today. Xu Mengqian said honestly. Okay, brother Zhang. The group, which had been silent for a while, became lively again. The country finally takes action. I guess they'll be sending us food soon, right? That's for sure. The country will not sit back and watch us die. HMPH. Some people wouldn't trade their gold necklaces for instant noodles. Now they're regretting it. Ha ha ha. That's right. That's right. It's so greedy that a snake swallows an elephant. You actually want to trade instant noodles for a woman. What a wishful thinking. Some stupid women believe it, and they will regret it later. Director Tang will not let some people go. Zhang Fan looked at the group messages and raised his lips slightly. I hope you can still laugh after a while. Half an hour later, a dozen transport planes flew over at low altitude. Pieces of white water mist spread out from the tail of the plane, and the water mist exuded a pungent smell. If it were the past, citizens would definitely dislike it and even call the authorities to complain. But now, all the survivors in the Fortune Center let out deafening cheers. Long live the Dragon Kingdom. End the apocalypse. Kill these plants. The hope of the end of the apocalypse seems to be just around the corner. Zhang Fan looked at the plane quietly. More than a dozen transport planes were dispatched at one time. This is just one city in the Demon Sea. It seems that the government really retains a strong power. At this time, a group of giant red birds swooped down from the clouds in an instant. Their speed is extremely fast, like streaks of red lightning piercing the sky. Almost in the blink of an eye, it flew from a small red dot to the sky above the transport aircraft group. Looking at the body shape, there is not much difference between the two. The giant bird's claws grabbed the top of the transport plane. The steel shell of the plane was like a paper shell and was penetrated without any resistance. It flapped its wings violently and dragged the transport plane of dozens of tons towards the clouds. The heavy transport planes were completely helpless in front of the giant birds, and they towed away the transport planes one by one. There is a giant red bird that seems to be the leader of the flock. It is especially huge and its wings are red and shiny, like a lit torch. The giant flaming bird let out a scream. Wow, wow. A lot of glass was shattered. Upon hearing the leader's order, the birds flew upward and disappeared into the clouds. The cheers around them stopped, and the survivors stared blankly at the sky like ducks strangled by their necks. A bird can actually tow away dozens of tons of airplanes. Is this also something carbon-based organisms can do? How strong must the bones, skin, and muscles of such a powerful creature be? Can a missile kill it? Zhang Fan also felt his scalp numb. After his overall physical fitness increased, his eyesight also improved a lot. Just now, he faintly saw that when the giant leader bird screamed, there were traces of air distortion around its body. This is not an ordinary cry, but some kind of ability. These giant red birds are far scarier than the mutated frogs downstairs. This is just one city in the Demon Sea, and there are so many terrifying creatures. The Demon Sea is still a place where humans are densely populated and animals are sparse. There are still many places on Earth that are sparsely populated. From Shenangjia, to Amazon, to the boundless ocean. How many creatures have evolved to levels unimaginable by humans? Can humans really become the masters of the Earth again? Zhang Fan had no confidence at all. No matter how the situation changes, it is always right to become stronger. Zhang Fan took out a bunch of enlightenment fruits and ate them. After eating an unknown number of pills, Zhang Fan finally heard a sweet prompt. Ding! Perception has been upgraded to 5 stars. You can now perceive inanimate objects. The perception range has been increased to 100 meters. Zhang Fan was secretly happy. Finally upgraded. This time, the entire building was completely under his surveillance, and no movement could escape Zhang Fan's sight. In addition, Zhang Fan's perception spanned the distance between the 2 buildings. He can also monitor part of the floors of Tower A and Tower B at the same time. Another key change is that you can see inanimate objects, and the information you perceive is greatly enriched. In the past, he could only see living objects such as animals, plants, and humans. Now he can see the room's furniture, building stones, floors, etc. Except for the dull color, there is almost no visual difference. And it's 360 degrees. The next day, Zhang Fan got up and looked out the window. The red mist continued to rise, and now it had reached the 21st floor. Immediately afterwards, Zhang Fan noticed changes. Many plants are dead. Those towering pine trees lost their needles overnight and turned into bare trunks. The light inside the pine tree is very dim, like a candle that may be extinguished at any time. All the ivy on the exterior wall withered, revealing the mottled walls. Does it really work? Zhang Fan was surprised. Void. He walked through the floors and soon came to an empty room on the first floor. Zhang Fan carefully observed his surroundings. This time, he finally discovered the location of the mutant frog. It was lying at the bottom of the swimming pool in the community, seemingly sleeping. This location is more than 80 meters away from the gate of Building C. If it weren't for the upgrade in perception, Zhang Fan wouldn't be able to find the mutated frog at all. Zhang Fan also saw that the plants outside the window suffered heavy casualties. Whether weeds, vines or woody plants, they all fell down piece by piece. After so long, he finally saw what the ground looked like again. Plants died, and many animals were poisoned by herbicides. The ground was densely covered with the corpses of rats, cockroaches and various insects. However, because the transport fleet was attacked by a giant red bird, the herbicide was not spread evenly. There are still a lot of plants left in many places. There are also plants in some places that escaped the disaster because they were not exposed to the outdoors. For example, in the lobby on the first floor, the plants are only slightly wilted and show no signs of death. Zhang Fan also noticed that the light in these plants that had escaped the disaster did not dim at all, but became brighter. They seem to be adapting to herbicides quickly. It's right to think about it. At the end of evolution, everything evolves at the speed of light. How can a small herbicide kill all the plants? As long as they can't be killed, they can adapt and evolve again. Zhang Fan sighed secretly. The situation before us is probably just a reflection of human civilization. At this time, the brave survivor began to try to walk out of the room. This herbicide is awesome. The Dragon Academy is still the Dragon Academy. Don't delay, go to the supermarket quickly to find some food. More and more survivors walked out of the building and walked nervously outside. Many people even walked through the swimming pool, unaware of the terrifying monster so close at hand. Zhang Fan looked at everyone silently. It's strange, the mutated frogs don't attack them. Zhang Fan couldn't figure it out, but now that the survivors were starting to go out to search for supplies, he couldn't lag behind. Go upstairs to Yida and see if there's anything else you can get. When these survivors go out, they will definitely make a mess of Yida's things. Next time we go out, there may not be so many good things. Zhang Fan's heart moved and he sank into the ground. Since discovering the mutant frog and the giant red bird, he has acted more cautiously. It's better to be careful. Zhang Fan was rushing underground. I met many survivors along the way, and everyone took advantage of this precious time to go out and search for supplies. From time to time, an unlucky person would come into contact with a highly poisonous plant, or be bitten by a poisonous snake lurking in the grass, and fall to the ground. Sister, all the plants are dead. Song Yuanfan, who looked like a vegetable, said excitedly. I saw a lot of people going out. Song Xian was too hungry to get out of bed. She became happy when she heard this. Quick, let's go to Yida Plaza to buy some food. The building has lost power. Don't know the information from the outside world. Song Xian was unable to contact Zhang Fan and could only wait for death in despair. Who knew things would take a turn? Song Yuanfan secretly hid 2 cans to give him better physical strength. Yes, the country must have started rescue. If we go there too late, we will be gone. Song Xian struggled to stand up. With just a slight movement, she was covered in cold sweat and her eyes turned black. This is a symptom of low blood sugar. Song Xian knew that she would not be able to hold on for long. I will go with you. Song Yuanfan didn't want to take Song Xian, a burden, with him, but thinking of the danger outside, he thought it would be okay to take him with him. If you encounter a ferocious animal, throw your sister down and use it as a human shield. In order to protect me, the sole child of the Song family, my sister will definitely not complain. Good. Song Yuanfan helped Song Xian stand up, and the 2 siblings put on their thickest clothes. Song Yuanfan hid a kitchen knife in his bag, and then they walked out of the room with difficulty. The plant is indeed dead. But the red mist still shows no sign of dissipating. Song Xian walked slowly with the support of Song Yuanfan. From time to time, people walked through the red mist. The 2 sides looked at each other warily, and then disappeared into the red mist. They were only a few hundred meters away from Yida Plaza, and the 2 of them walked for nearly an hour. Song Yuanfan was very anxious, fearing that the supplies would be robbed by others, so he kept urging Song Xian. But Song Xian didn't have the physical strength to walk fast, so she could only grit her teeth and carry on. Finally, they arrived at the entrance of Yida Plaza, and more people were walking in the red mist. Everyone looked hungry and embarrassed. The formerly exquisite Mahai people were now all unkempt. When they are hungry, what people are thinking about every day is how to get enough food, and they have no energy to waste time on keeping a watch. Li Qingchuan slowly walked to the lobby on the 1st floor. From time to time, people hurried past, the excitement on their faces was palpable, and they even started to say hello. Hello, Dr. Li. Drive Li, why don't you go shopping? The apocalypse is coming to an end, and Dr. Li will definitely be reused. Doctors have always been the middle and upper class of society and are highly envied by ordinary people. Especially for an old Chinese doctor like Li Qingchuan, no one knows when he will beg for help. Originally, in the apocalypse, everyone was only focused on getting food and had no time to do these frivolous things, so no one paid any attention to him. The pressure to survive was reduced, and everyone returned to their previous attitudes. Li Qingchuan smiled bitterly. What reuse? I'm just an old man. The old woman exaggeratedly said. Look, Dr. Li is so humble. He is much better than that smug little red guy in the convenience store. Li Qingchuan frowned slightly and said nothing. At this time, old man Shu also appeared. She glared at Li Qingchuan with a gloomy expression. Li Qingchuan didn't want to get entangled with her, so he turned and left. The old woman looked at Mrs. Shu, smiled and left. Mrs. Shu stared at Li Qingchuan's back, her teeth chattering. Li Qingchuan, you have to pay for my grandson's life. She blamed Li Qingchuan for her grandson's death. Li Qingchuan carefully observed the community. It seems that the effect of the herbicide is pretty good. Soon he stopped laughing. He saw a purple mushroom emerging from under a pile of poisoned plants. 1 flower, 2 flowers, 3 flowers. Li Qingchuan found countless purple mushrooms. When other plants die and free up living space, the surviving plants grow even more vigorously. In addition, he also saw a pine tree that had been killed by poison, and new green branches sprouted from its roots. In just one night, it grew half a meter tall. Li Qingchuan sighed in disappointment. He looked at the blood-red surroundings and was very disappointed. Sure enough, it still doesn't work. He carefully picked some newly grown plants and some shepherd's purse that smelled like shit, and returned home. He would not go out easily at such a dangerous time. No matter how unpalatable the shit-flavored shepherd's purse is, it's better than losing your life. In Yida Plaza, more and more people gathered. The survivors had come to buy things. Once they arrived, they discovered that Yida Plaza was not open at all and there was no one to manage it. There has been a power outage near Yida Square, and people can only use flashlights to search for supplies in the square. Where are the things in the supermarket? They were all taken away. Brothers, don't go down there. It's a waste of time. It's better to go and see other places. Don't believe him. He's deceiving people. Believe it or not. Among the crowd, Lu Mengyao held a rolling pin and entered Yida Plaza with her roommate Huang Qian and Huang Qian's boyfriend Xiao Chang. When Lu Mengyao saw the messy scene in front of her, her heart suddenly sank. It's over, we're late. Xiao Chang secretly glanced at Lu Mengyao's slim figure and pretended to be calm. It's okay, let's go upstairs. I see that most people have gone to the supermarket. There is a gourmet shop upstairs in Yida Plaza. There should be some leftover food. Lu Mengyao practices dance and fitness all year round and is in excellent shape. There are concavities and convexities, fat where you should be fat and thin where you should be thin. The body proportions are also very good, with the typical wrist line passing through the crotch. Even loose sportswear can't block your perfect body shape. Lu Mengyao felt disgusted with Xiao Chang's eyes. How dare a poor athlete to have feelings for my mother? Snort. However, she now had to rely on this strong athletic student and could only pretend not to see him. Huang Qian's eyes lit up. Husband is so smart. Let's go up quickly. Okay. Xiao Chang was proud of himself, consciously showing off his IQ in front of Lu Mengyao. In the past, as a poor student, he did not dare to have any thoughts about a beauty of Lu Mengyao's level. But things are different now. Now is the end of the world. After being trapped with Lu Mengyao, spending time together day and night, he inevitably had some thoughts that he didn't dare to think about before. As long as I show my strong abilities in front of Lu Mengyao, she will definitely like me. Chapter 31. Xiao Chang held up a flashlight, took the lead on the power outage escalator, and led the two girls to the second floor. This is the mother and baby floor, which is full of baby products and children's indoor playgrounds. The three of them are not interested. When Lu Mengyao was about to leave, a man walked out of the red mist and said with a smile, Lu Mengyao. Lu Mengyao was surprised. Zhang Fan. The person coming was none other than Zhang Fan. Zhang Fan came to Yida Plaza again, where there were already many survivors. Zhang Fan did not immediately rise to the ground, but carefully sensed it. Within a radius of 100 meters, the entire Yida Plaza was enveloped in his perception. There are no powerful mutant creatures. There are about 200 people. There is only one person with superpowers in the underground supermarket. The others are ordinary people. Zhang Fan took a careful look at the superhuman. He seemed to be leading a few boys in a robbery. The brightness of this man's light was much stronger than that of Zhou Tianao, but it was still far less bright than Zhang Fan's. In addition, the ginger in his body is also golden. After Zhang Fan confirmed that the supernatural being was not in great danger, he found a deserted corner and rose to the ground. There are a lot of people now, so even if a mutated creature attacks you, the possibility of attacking you is very small. The first floor of Yida Plaza has every inch of land, filled with international fashion brands, cosmetics, gold stores, mobile phone stores, automobile stores and the like. It used to be crowded, but now no one would come to a place like this to waste time. After his perception was upgraded to level 5, Zhang Fan gained night vision in disguise, and he could see clearly the products in the store without using a flashlight. This is a Chanel store. Zhang Fan had never come in before, let alone bought anything. One piece of clothing is enough for his salary for a year. Take whatever you want now. As soon as Zhang Fan entered the door, he put all the clothes and accessories into the space. He randomly found a backpack, stuffed some merchandise into it, and pretended to be an ordinary survivor. Then, there is a new energy vehicle exhibition store. There were 2 cars inside, and Zhang Fan also moved into the space. Gold stores, cosmetics stores. Zhang Fan just walked around and collected all the goods from all the merchants on the first floor. Then, he followed the escalator to the second floor. The second floor is the maternal and infant area, and there is no one there. Zhang Fan put all the goods into the space regardless of whether they were useful or not. At this time, he found 3 people coming up from another escalator. One of the women's silhouettes is very eye-catching. Her legs are slender and slender, her wrists pass past her crotch, and her body proportions are the same as those of a model. Does this figure look familiar? Zhang Fan couldn't help but walk towards the other party. Soon, he passed through the red mist and came directly to the other party. They are indeed acquaintances. Lu Mengyao. Age, 23. Quality, 9 points. Perfect figure. Women's virtue, 10 points. Not considered human affairs. Comprehensive score, 9 points. Ding. Meets system requirements. Zhang Fan's eyes lit up. Lu Mengyao was Song Xian's acquaintance at the yoga studio. They often worked out together and were considered half-best friends. Zhang Fan laughed. Lu Mengyao. Lu Mengyao glanced at Zhang Fan in surprise. She didn't expect to see an acquaintance here by such a coincidence. Zhang Fan. Zhang Fan looked Lu Mengyao up and down without any concealment. Obviously, Lu Mengyao was having a hard time during this period. He Chengji, whom he was proud of, was not taken care of and looked messy. But this still couldn't hide her beautiful face. This woman is not as smart as Hu Lily. She doesn't know how to put on makeup to look ugly when she comes out. She even puts on lipstick. Isn't this causing trouble for herself? Lu Mengyao frowned slightly. She doesn't like this little convenience store clerk. She has been privately urging Song Xian to leave Zhang Fan. Now that Zhang Fan was looking at him like this, he couldn't help but feel dissatisfied and turned away. Xiao Cheng became unhappy. He has regarded Lu Mengyao as his forbidden love. Lu Mengyao was looked at maliciously by a man, which made him a little angry. Xiao Cheng took a step forward, blocking Lu Mengyao behind him. Relying on his height of 195 centimeters, he looked down at Zhang Fan with a look of disdain. Brother, where are you looking? Zhang Fan didn't even look at him. He pretended to dig through his backpack, but actually took out a can of fish from his pocket, like a bad guy trying to trick a little girl. Lu Mengyao, do you want to eat? Gulu. Lu Mengyao swallowed hard and stared straight at the can. She has only eaten one meal a day for 3 days, and it was steamed buns. If there weren't a lot of steamed buns frozen in Xiao Cheng's refrigerator, they would have gone hungry. Now that I see the fish, my mouth is watering. Xiao Cheng and Huang Qian also saw, their eyes gleaming. Where did you find it? Zhang Fan still ignored the two of them and chuckled at Lu Mengyao. Come and stay at my house, and I'll make sure you have enough to eat. Lu Mengyao's expression changed. Zhang Fan, what are you talking about? Xiao Cheng immediately discovered the opportunity to show off. You brat, apologize to Mengyao. Lu Mengyao heard it a bit harsh. Is this what you can call Mengyao? Huang Qian also glanced at Xiao Cheng unhappily. She was not stupid and had already discovered her boyfriend's bad intentions towards Lu Mengyao. In addition, Lu Mengyao wasted food at their house. She had long wanted to drive Lu Mengyao out. Zhang Fan calmly threw the can on the ground and crushed it with his foot. The aroma of fish filled the air. The three people's eyes were on fire. This is too wasteful. If there weren't so many people present, Lu Mengyao would have liked to lie on the ground, pick it up and eat it. Zhang Fan took his time and said to Xiao Cheng, I'll give you 3 seconds to kneel down and apologize. Xiao Cheng was stunned for a moment, as if he had heard some joke. What did you say? He practices basketball. He is 195 centimeters tall and weighs 200 pounds. Zhang Fan is a man of average build, only 175 centimeters tall. Just looking at appearance, the difference between the two is 20 centimeters. Xiao Cheng rolled up his sleeves, revealing his strong muscles. Zhang Fan raised the corner of his mouth slightly, and just when he was about to take action, he found that the superhuman with superpowers actually came up the escalator, with several boys behind him. These people exude a bright red light and are full of malice. Zhang Fan couldn't help but turn his head and look at the escalator. When Xiao Cheng saw Zhang Fan turning his head, he thought he was scared and laughed proudly. Halfway through his smile, he saw several flashlight beams swaying in the red mist. Soon, several men came up from the escalator. The leader was a bald man with a hideous face and pimples on his face. He was wearing a black leather jacket with nothing underneath, a huge green dragon tattoo on his chest, a huge gold chain around his neck, and a watermelon knife in his hand. The people behind the bald man are not good people either. They are either skinny or bald, all of them have dragons and tigers carved on their bodies, and their faces are ferocious. When the bald man saw several people standing at the escalator, he cursed. Why are you blocking the road? Get out of my way. Xiao Chang's scalp was numb when he saw it. He had already avoided it before, but now in front of his girlfriend and Lu Mengyao, it would be too shameful to avoid him even after being scolded. He could only bite the bullet and said, "Keep your mouth clean." Hey, the bald man looked at Xiao Chang and the others with a ferocious smile. There were no lights in the supermarket, and the red mist blocked his view. He didn't pay attention at first, but then he realized that there was a beautiful woman. Boss, look at this fool. Brother Angkor, look, this girl is so smooth. Ha ha ha. The bald man's eyes shone as he walked straight to Lu Mengyao and looked at her unscrupulously. Lu Mengyao's heart sank and she looked at Xiao Chang for help. Huang Qian pulled her boyfriend nervously, worried that he would force himself on her. Several men were weighing the knives in their hands and looking at Xiao Chang unkindly. Xiao Chang's scalp suddenly became numb and he was at a loss. Zhang Fan looked at the bald men quietly at close range. They were carrying various backpacks, which were bulging with stuff. Some of the backpacks were obviously women's bags and were stained with blood, obviously stolen. The bald man laughed wildly. Beauty, come with me, I'll give you the hot and spicy food. Lu Mengyao's mind went blank. She shrank behind Xiao Chang, pulled Xiao Chang's clothes and said tremblingly. No, I'm not going. The bald man cursed. Maid, if you don't eat the toast, you will be fined. With that said, he stretched out his hand to pull Lu Mengyao. Xiao Chang's mind started to heat up and he said. Brother, snapped. The words have not yet finished. The bald man slapped Xiao Chang on the head. Who the hell are you brothers? Get out of here. Big pussy doesn't hurt much, but it's extremely insulting. Xiao Chang was furious, clenched his fists, and glared at the bald man angrily. There are so many people, do you really dare to take action? The herbicide has taken effect and order will be restored soon. This is a society ruled by law. I don't believe you dare. The bald man suddenly took action, and the watermelon knife in his hand instantly turned golden and chopped it down from top to bottom. Only a flash of golden light was seen. Poof! Under the blessing of golden light, the watermelon knife seemed to turn into a laser knife, smoothly passing over Xiao Chang's bones and muscles. Xiao Chang paused for a moment, and his whole body split into two halves, and blood spurted out on the two women's heads and faces. Wow! Organs and human tissues fell to the ground. Lu Mengyao's mind went blank. Huang Qian rolled her eyes and fainted. The bald man laughed heartily. Ha ha ha! Take both women away. This girl's belongs to me, and the other girls will be given to you. Thank you, Angkor. Long live Angkor. The bald man wiped the blood from his face, pointed at Zhang Fan and said with a grin. Boy, leave your backpack. I'm in a good mood today and I won't kill you. Zhang Fan looked at Xiao Chang's body calmly. It turns out that the ability is to increase the sharpness of metal. Then there's nothing to worry about. Zhang Fan raised his head, pointed at Lu Mengyao and said calmly. I'm in a good mood too. I'll spare your life and leave the woman and things behind. You can go. Oh, I don't want the fainted one. It's too ugly. You can take her away. She is mine. Lu Mengyao was so frightened that everyone was dumbfounded. She looked at Zhang Fan in confusion, not understanding why this previously inconspicuous man was so brave. The bald man was furious. Kill him. One of his men slashed at Zhang Fan with a knife. Too slow. Zhang Fan calmly glanced at the trajectory of the knife and punched it flatly. The fist hit the man's chest like thunder. Click. The man spurted blood, was knocked several meters away, smashed the glass guardrail, and fell to the first floor. Today, trauma is basically equal to death. This man is hopeless. The scene fell silent for a moment. The bald man was startled at first, and then he laughed ferociously. It turns out he is a person with personal abilities. No wonder he is so rampant. Die. The watermelon knife in his hand glowed golden again. However, his speed is too slow. Facing the superhuman, Zhang Fan didn't hold anything back and kicked him like lightning. The bald man had no time to react before he was kicked in the head. Boom! His head exploded like a watermelon. Plop! Headless, he lost his virginity and fell to the ground. The bald man's younger brother was dumbfounded. The bald man who was extremely powerful in their eyes was slaughtered like a chicken. Zhang Fan did not stop. but he kicked forward, and another of his men screamed and fell down from the second floor. Another punch and one of his men died tragically. Zhang Fan moved so fast that others couldn't react at all. A few seconds later, all the bald man's younger brothers were dead except for the last yellow hair. Huang Mao made a decision immediately and knelt on the ground with a thud. Brother, I was wrong. Brother, I will give you all the women of Angkor. Woman. Zhang Fan's fist stopped 3 centimeters in front of Huang Mao. Huang Mao was so frightened that his crotch became wet. Zhang Fan said with great interest. Oh, does it look good? Huang Mao nodded quickly. Good looking. Good looking. Zhang Fan asked again. There's a few. Huang Mao said quickly. At least there are 2 alive. 2 live ones. Zhang Fan frowned slightly. Come on, take me to see you. He glanced at Lu Mengyao, who was still trembling. Zhang Fan smiled and said, follow me. Lu Mengyao didn't dare to resist at all, and followed Zhang Fan away tremblingly. After everyone left, Huang Qian quietly opened her eyes, her fear finally relieved a little. She stared blankly at her boyfriend, who had now become a pile of minced meat, and suddenly felt sad. Without the protection of a man, the fear of the unpredictable future suddenly surged into her heart. Huang Qian cried for a while, then suppressed her fear and went downstairs. I want to call the police. You killed someone, and no one can escape. The police will arrest you. The bald man's home is actually a small convenience store near Yida. Huang Mao opened the door diligently, pointed to the cage in the living room and said, Brother, all the women are here. Zhang Fan saw the scene inside through perception outside. No matter how he saw it with his eyes, his face would become gloomy. In the living room, there are 2 large dog cages. In each cage, 3 women were stuffed. They were naked, with their necks, hands and feet chained to the cage. They could hardly move their bodies and could only huddle in pain. All women were brutally abused. Except for his normal face, his body is full of scars, including whip marks, knife wounds, and cigarette burns. The ground under the cage was full of urine, and the smell was unpleasant. Lu Mengyao looked horrified. Fortunately, he was saved by Zhang Fan, otherwise he would have ended up like these women. These days, she has been living with Xiao Cheng and Huang Qian, not starving, and has no deep understanding of the end of the world. I just saw some cruel things through the video, just like a glimpse. Now, she finally saw the dark side of the world with her own eyes, and the cruelest side of the apocalypse unfolded its bloody fangs towards her. Lu Mengyao felt her scalp numb and her body shaking like a sieve. Zhang Fan stepped forward and took a look. 3 women are still alive. The wounds on everyone's body were inflamed, the swelling was very high, there was a foul smell, and some huge flies were hovering in the living room. Zhang Fan knew that these women were hopeless. The 3 women looked at Zhang Fan numbly, without saying a word, but there was deep fear hidden in their eyes, and their bodies were trembling slightly. Zhang Fan sneered. Huang Mao, you guys are having a great time. Huang Maopai smiled and said, Boss, you can choose whatever you want. Hey, Zhang Fan suddenly stretched out his hand. Click, click, Wang Mao's arms and thighs were all broken off in a few strokes. Huang Mao screamed, Ah, ah, it hurts me so much. The numb eyes of the woman in the cage began to glow with hope. Zhang Fan tore off the iron bars of the dog cage with a single effort and loosened the woman's chain from the cage. Clang, Zhang Fan dropped 3 daggers. He leaves it to you. The 2 women cowered. Only one woman's eyes shone brightly. She kowtowed twice in front of Zhang Fan, and then picked up the dagger with difficulty. Huang Mao was scared crazy. No, no, don't do this. It's none of my business. The woman gritted her teeth and rushed forward. The room was filled with Huang Mao's screams. The other 2 women also mustered up their courage, slowly moved out of the cage, and picked up the dagger. Zhang Fan looked at it quietly for a while, then turned and left. Lu Mengyao was so frightened that she didn't dare to stay and left. Sister, let's go in quickly. Song Yuanfan was impatient. Okay. Song Xian's eyes were full of hope. Seeing that food would be available soon, her hungry body burst out with unimaginable strength. Fortunately, I didn't bow to Zhang Fan. She was secretly glad. If he had compromised with Zhang Fan before, he still had to find a way to get rid of him now. Snort. How can such a poor guy who is unwilling to make progress deserve me? I'm a civil servant. The two siblings walked into Yida Plaza with various thoughts. The scene in front of them made the two of them despair. There were chaotic crowds everywhere. There was abuse everywhere. Especially the entrance to the underground supermarket was crowded with people leaving and entering. But everyone's hands were empty. There's no food left. Who the hell took all the food away? What's going on? The two people's hearts sank, and they quickly followed the crowd into the supermarket. After passing through the smelly fresh food area, they came to the merchandise area. The underground supermarket was empty in the darkness. Only human figures were moving through the red mist, and the flashlight beam was swaying wildly. Song Yuanfan collapsed instantly. Where are the things? Why are there nothing at all? Song Xian had been working hard to get here, but now she was disappointed. She could no longer withstand this blow and fell to the ground in confusion. It's over. It's all over. Song Yuanfan angrily grabbed Song Xian's hair and shook it violently. It's all your fault. If you hadn't been so slow, we would have been here long ago. Maybe we could have grabbed some food. It's all your fault. Song Xian screamed in pain. What are you doing? Yuanfan, let go. The fight between the siblings did not attract much attention. Because there are people fighting everywhere. Two people not far away suddenly started fighting over a backpack. Maid, what are you doing? This is mine. This is my thing. You dare to rob it. You are seeking death. Poof. One of them took out a dagger and stabbed the other to death. The surrounding crowd immediately went crazy. Killed. Killed. The murderer grabbed the backpack in panic and disappeared into the red mist. Song Yuanfan was frightened and stopped beating his sister. After venting, he calmed down a little and helped Song Xian up again. You're looking for death. Song Xian hit Song Yuanfan several times. After all, he was his own brother, so he couldn't do anything. He could only say with a sullen face. Let's go upstairs. There's a restaurant upstairs. Maybe there's some food left. Song Yuanfan's eyes gleamed. Yes, yes, sister, you were right. He supported Song Xian, avoided the rioting crowd, and headed for the escalator. Huang Qian, Song Xian. Huang Qian happened to get off the escalator. When she saw Song Xian, she thought of Zhang Fan, and her eyes suddenly turned red again. She said bitterly, your boyfriend killed someone. Huang Qian only knew Song Xian, but wasn't familiar with her. She didn't know about Song Xian's breakup with Zhang Fan. Boyfriend. Song Xian was stunned for a moment before she came to her senses and said in surprise. Is Zhang Fan here? Now that her hope of buying food had failed, she wanted to find Zhang Fan again. Huang Qian was a little frightened, so she just repeated. He killed someone. I'm going to call the police, he's dead. Song Xian was a little confused. What the hell are you talking about? Who did he kill? Huang Qian also reacted. It seems that Song Xian is not with Zhang Fan. Zhang Fan's face was rosy, he was very healthy, and he looked like he was not hungry. Song Xian's face was sluggish, her hair was disheveled, and she looked weak. Huang Qian deliberately provoked. You don't know better. Zhang Fan is a murderer and he took Lu Mengyao away. You don't want this kind of man. Lu Mengyao. Song Xian thought of that plastic sister with a perfect figure. I immediately believed 90% of it. Zhang Fan has been looking for women in the group, and she knows it. She suddenly became dissatisfied. This guy is too much. When I find him, I must drive away those women. Song Xian wanted to ask Huang Qian for some information, but Huang Qian ignored her and went downstairs. After walking a few steps, I saw a huge orange cat jumping out of the red mist and snatching Huang Qian away. Song Yuanfan and Song Xian felt a bucket of ice water pouring down from their heads, freezing to the bone. Meow. The orange cat swallowed Huang Qian in one gulp, and looked at Song Xian coldly with its yellow vertical pupils. For some reason, the orange cat didn't attack. It jumped off the escalator and disappeared into the red mist. Soon, human screams were heard from downstairs. Cat. The cat is coming. Run. What the hell is this? Help. Help. Song Yuanfan and Song Xian were granted amnesty. They were so scared that they no longer cared about looking for food, and hurriedly found a store with a smashed glass door and hid in it. Zhang Fan walked towards the wealth center. After walking for a while, Lu Mengyao recovered and asked in horror. Zhang Fan, why don't you save them? Zhang Fan said calmly. They are dead. There is no way to treat such severe trauma now. Lu Mengyao bit her red lips and followed Zhang Fan closely, not daring to stay away. There was red mist all around, and it was impossible to see 5 meters away. After a while, the two came to the wealth center. Zhang Fan felt it carefully first. The mutated frog is not in the swimming pool and has gone somewhere. Zhang Fan remained in the virtual state, led Lu Mengyao into Tower C, and then climbed to the 32nd floor. Tang Shiru opened the door and saw Lu Mengyao. Here comes another beautiful woman. She lamented in her heart but did not dare to show it on her face. Brother Zhang, come in quickly. Yes. Zhang Fan walked in calmly. Lu Mengyao was a little embarrassed, but still followed in. Tang Shiru smiled and said, "Are you the new sister?" "Hello, my name is Tang Shiru." Lu Mengyao said coyly. "Hello, my name is Lu Mengyao." Xu Mengqian and Hu Lili also came over to say hello. Lu Mengyao was very embarrassed. She didn't expect that there were so many women in Zhang Fan's family. Xu Mengqian went to cook. Tang Shiru massaged Zhang Fan's shoulders and said softly, "Brother Zhang, Lu Mengyao has no room to live in. Her home has 3 bedrooms and 1 living room, and 3 women, Tang Shiru, Xu Mengqian, and Hu Lili, have 1 room each, and it is already full." Zhang Fan said casually, "Then live next door." He walked to the big hole in the wall and punched a few times to create a doorway as high as 1 person in the wall. Lu Mengyao and Hu Lili, who had just arrived, were both dumbfounded. Zhang Fan is so powerful. Lu Mengyao had seen Zhang Fan kill someone, but the killing was not as shocking as the current scene. Tang Shiru and Xu Mengqian looked indifferent. Tang Shiru looked at the 2 girls proudly. "You will know later how powerful Brother Zhang is." Lu Mengyao secretly thought that following a man like this might not be a bad thing. Zhang Fan took Lu Mengyao to the next room. The decoration of this room was not bad, but it was much worse than Tang Shiru's house. "I have to go to the furniture store to get some furniture in the future," Zhang Fan thought to himself. With a wave of his hand, a pile of brand new 4-piece high-end bed sets fell down. "Put it on yourself." Lu Mengyao was stunned. "Brother Zhang, what are you?" Zhang Fan said calmly. "The portable space is filled with food. Follow me and I will ensure that you will not starve." Lu Mengyao was surprised. "You actually still have this ability." She felt again that following Zhang Fan didn't seem like a bad thing. Ding! The God level return effect has been upgraded, and historical return special effects have been obtained. All materials consumed by the woman after the red mist descended will be returned. The return effect can also be improved. Zhang Fan's eyes lit up. Immediately afterwards, prompts rang one after another. Ding! 1 day ago, Lu Mengyao consumed 1 steamed bun and got 500 buns back. It has been put into the portable space. Ding! 2 days ago, Lu Mengyao consumed 1 steamed bun and got 500 buns back. It has been put into the portable space. Ding! 3 days ago, Lu Mengyao consumed 1 steamed bun and got 500 buns back. It has been put into the portable space. Only then did Zhang Fan realize that Lu Mengyao was living a very hard life. In the previous week, all she ate was steamed buns. The 2 returned to Tang Shiru's room. The food had been prepared, and the 3 women sat aside and waited in a polite manner. As soon as they saw the 2 people coming back, the 3 women stood up. Tang Shiru smiled and said, "Brother Zhang is here. You must be hungry, let's eat quickly." Zhang Fan sat on the main seat. Tang Shiru said again. "Mengyao, you've worked hard too, please eat quickly." Lu Mengyao stared straight at the dining table. Braised steak, cola chicken drumsticks, steamed sea bass, braised prawns, cold shredded shreds. This, how is this possible? Lu Mengyao couldn't control her saliva. Let alone the end of the world, even in peaceful times, she would not be able to eat such sumptuous meals a few times. Xu Mengqian smiled proudly and said, "It's just an ordinary meal. Mengyao, don't mind, I'm in a hurry today and don't have time to cook anything else. I'll cook a good meal tomorrow to cleanse my sister." Lu Mengyao quickly shook her head. No, this is too rich." Zhang Fan said casually. "Eat." The 3 women did not move their chopsticks. Lu Mengyao is also very knowledgeable. After Zhang Fan took a few bites, the girls started eating. The girls saw that Zhang Fan was in a good mood, the atmosphere relaxed a lot, and they started talking and laughing softly. Tang Shiru chuckled and said, "Oh, many people went out to buy food today." Xu Mengqian said disdainfully, "Silly, where can I buy it now? A lot of plants have died, but the red mist is still there, blocking the view. How can someone deliver the goods?" Hu Lily added, "I watched other people's videos. The roads were destroyed. The roots of some grasses could puncture tires. Traffic could not be restored at least for a short time." Tang Shiru took a mouthful of meat, put it into Zhang Fan's mouth affectionately, and said proudly, "If there is no way to replenish food from outside, the only food left in Mahai City is packaged food and frozen food. With so many people, how much can one person get? Except for Brother Zhang who has room to carry around, most people will have to go hungry. Where can I go to supplement? The situation in the countryside is even worse. There is no place for people to live there. The factory is not much better. The power supply cannot be guaranteed and production is impossible." As the three women talked, they asked, "By the way, Mengyao, what's the situation outside?" Only Lu Mengyao had seen the situation outside with her own eyes. They were very curious. "Outside," Lu Mengyao shuddered and turned pale. "It's very chaotic. There is no food in the supermarket, the bugs on the road are dangerous, there are fights everywhere, and people are killing people." When she talked about killing people, she glanced at Zhang Fan timidly, fearing that he would be angry. Zhang Fan said calmly, "Well, I killed a few more fools today. You go on." "Killed again." The three women were silent, but not too frightened. They had already seen Zhang Fan kill Zhou Tianao. And, when Lu Mengyao heard this word, she realized that Zhang Fan had killed people before, and she felt even more awed and said quickly, "The people Brother Zhang killed were a group of gangsters, and they themselves deserved death. Brother Zhang left one alive and forced him to go to their lair. I saw 2 cages." Lu Mengyao slowly recounted the tragedy she witnessed. "I heard women being tied up in cages like dogs and subjected to all kinds of abuse." The 3 girls of Tang Shiru all looked ugly and their hearts were beating fast. "Then I think of the woman in building A opposite who was raped by 4 men and disappeared." Tang Shiru and Hu Lily held Zhang Fan's arms in horror, feeling extremely happy in their hearts. "If we hadn't followed Brother Zhang, our fate would not be much better than those women." "Yeah," Xu Mengqian and Hu Lily nodded repeatedly. "As long as she is obedient, Zhang Fan has never intentionally tortured a woman. As for Xu Mengqian, she is simply seeking death. She wants to use the same method she used against Hu Lei to deal with Zhang Fan. She is simply seeking death. Now even she feels like she is a bad person." Lu Mengyao slowly finished talking about what happened outside. The 3 women were silent. Can order really be restored to this world? After dinner, the 4 girls cleared the table together. Zhang Fan walked to the balcony and frowned at the outer wall. Sure enough, the ivy came to life again. The ivy that seemed to have been killed by the herbicide once again grew some tiny green shoots. Although they were very small, the ivy did withstand the herbicide. "How long has it been?" "1 day, Zhang Fan sighed. It was getting dark. The red mist below the 21st floor turned dark red, like a ghost. Zhang Fan carefully observed the survivors within the range of his perception. During the day, the number of residents in Building C decreased by at least 1/3. Many people never came back after going out. It is not known whether they were trapped somewhere or dead. However, some people are more lucky and can get some food from nowhere and it can last for a few days. At this moment, a violent fire suddenly erupted from somewhere in the southeast, dyeing half of the night sky red. After a few seconds, the roar came. Boom, boom, boom. The glass shook violently. The women looked out of the window in horror. What happened? Where did it explode? There won't be a fire, right? Immediately afterwards, the lights in the room suddenly went out. The room suddenly fell into darkness, and the women were startled. Ah, Zhang Fan frowned. What's the fuss about? The women quickly shut up and gathered around Zhang Fan. Tang Shiru timidly hugged Zhang Fan's arm, and the man's strong muscles made her feel a little at ease. She bit her lower lip and looked out the window. Now, everywhere you look, everything is dark. The entire Demon Sea has a power outage. The legacy of modern scientific and technological civilization is gradually disappearing. Deep despair enveloped every woman's heart. Zhang Fan took out a box of candles from the space. This is a birthday candle harvested from a cake shop. Tang Shiru, light the candle. Okay. Tang Shiru found a lighter and lit the candle. The weak candlelight gave the four girls a lot of comfort. They sat around the candle and stared blankly. Zhang Fan unexpectedly heard the prompt. Ding. Tang Shiru consumes 1 candle and gets 500 candles back. It has been put into the portable space. Huh. Zhang Fan was stunned. Why can lighting candles be refunded? Didn't it work if you tested the tissue paper and washing powder before? Could it be that it has something to do with the way it is consumed? Zhang Fan took out a pack of tissue paper and handed it to Tang Shiru. Burned. Tang Shiru was stunned for a moment. Ah. Zhang Fan did not explain. Tang Shiru thought to herself, are they paying homage to a relative? Without much hesitation, she tore open the package and lit a piece of paper. Ding. Tang Shiru consumes 1 piece of paper and gets 500 pieces back. It has been put into the portable space. Zhang Fan's eyes suddenly lit up. Sure enough, it has something to do with consumption. Why was the previous method of wiping hands with paper not recognized by the system? Could it be because the items were not damaged? Wrong. When women use toilet paper, they inevitably get damaged, but they never receive it back. So the key is not breakage. Zhang Fan thought about it and took out a new towel. Burned. Tang Shiru was confused, but she still lit the towel obediently. Ding. Tang Shiru consumes a towel and gets 500 yuan back. It has been put into the portable space. Returned again. Zhang Fan frowned slightly. Can burning completely destroy an object? Zhang Fan asked Tang Shiru to burn a new mobile phone. Cannot be returned. Even though the plastic casing of the phone was burned through, it was not returned. Now that's fun. Zhang Fan narrowed his eyes slightly. He took out a bunch of more things for Tang Shiru to test. Burn Balenciaga stockings and you can return them. Burnt gold ring cannot be returned. The women were all confused and looked at Zhang Fan in confusion. Zhang Fan didn't explain anything, just secretly guessed. Paper, towels, and stockings can be returned, but mobile phones and gold rings cannot. Is it because these things can't be lit? No, the phone can still be lit, it just won't burn completely. Could the system determine whether certain items can be burned out? Only those items that can be burned out can be returned. However, this is unreasonable. The temperature of the candle is not enough. It is true that the mobile phone and gold ring cannot be lit. If I use a chain steel furnace to burn the mobile phone and gold ring, will it be refunded? Is it because of the material? Can't metal be returned? Does the system judge based on the temperature of the flame, or is it based on the material of the item? Zhang Fan thought for a while and decided to test it out. He took out a pair of thick-soled sneakers. Burn it. Tang Shiru put her sneakers on the candle in confusion. The uppers were burned and gave off an unpleasant smell. But still no refund. Zhang Fan said again, see if there is still gas on the stove. If there is gas, try burning it. Natural gas is definitely hotter than a birthday candle. Tang Shiru tried the natural gas, and sure enough it didn't stop. But the firepower is very weak, about the small amount of natural gas remaining in the pipeline. Tang Shiru took her sneakers and put them on the natural gas and lit them. Ding. Tang Shiru consumes 1 pair of sneakers and gets 500 pairs back. They have been put into the carry-on space. Zhang Fan's eyes glowed. Really, it also has something to do with the temperature of the fire. Theoretically, all substances are flammable. As long as the temperature is high enough, I can return any item. Zhang Fan was in a good mood and took out a YSL lipstick. A reward for you. Tang Shiru's beautiful eyes lit up and she happily took the lipstick. Thank you, Brother Zhang. She never imagined that in the end of the world, she would actually be able to get a famous lipstick. Now, people outside can't even eat, and I still have lipstick. The other 3 women looked at Tang Shiru jealously, and then looked at Zhang Fan with hopeful eyes. It's a pity that Zhang Fan didn't come up with more rewards. Slightly stimulating a woman's competitive spirit will help increase service quality. Zhang Fan took out a dozen boxes of candles. There are many candles. From now on, before going to bed every night, you must light a few in each room and keep them lit. Hu Lily is responsible for this. If you do well, I will also reward you with a lipstick. Hu Lily said happily. Okay, Brother Zhang. 20 candles were lit and the room became bright. Although it is not as good as the lighting, it is still very good. In the darkness, this room stood out. The survivors in Building A looked at the building opposite in confusion. Whose house is that? Why are there so many candles? Why are they all lit up? What a waste. HMPH. I don't know when the power will be restored. I'm going to make you cry. It's up to you what you will do when the candles burn out. Zhang Fan received 10,000 candles in return, but he couldn't burn them all. He waved his hand happily. It's not bright enough, light 20 more. From now on, we will follow this standard. Hu Lily obediently lit another 20 candles. The room becomes brighter and brighter. The women's mood improved a lot. However, the mood of the survivors in Block A is completely different. How many candles does this kid have? The survivors below the 21st floor fell into panic. In the past, when there were lights at home, even if the red mist blocked the view, it was still bearable. The power is out now. Many people don't have candles or flashlights in their homes. Apart from the light that can be emitted from a mobile phone, there is no backup lighting method at all. As soon as the lights went out, the red mist blocked the moonlight again, and everyone in the room was completely dark, unable to see their fingers. They could only turn on the gas stove miserably to get some light. After more than half an hour, the natural gas in the pipeline was completely burned out and could no longer be ignited. Below the 21st floor, it was completely plunged into darkness. Now, everyone panicked. The sounds of various animals came from outside the window. The night seemed terrifying. Some people huddled in their beds, shivering. Some people, especially those who lived alone, could not stand the terrible darkness, so they walked out of the room in the dark and climbed upstairs. Finally, a large group of survivors gathered in the stairwell between the 22nd and 24th floors. When people are in the group, they finally feel relieved and discuss what to do next. There's no way to live below the 21st floor. How about we move upstairs? Who will take us in these days? This is a year of disaster. We need to complement each other and help each other. Why don't you take us in? Is there any humanity left? What can we do if they don't open the door? They will always come out. As soon as they come out, we will rush in. It's not necessary. There are many empty rooms upstairs, which are enough for us to live in. This is a security door, it can't be opened at all. Several men who did not believe in evil went to kick down the door. A few minutes later, they came back dejected and out of breath. It can't be opened at all. These fools upstairs are so inhumane that they won't even open the door for us. When violence failed, a few people started shouting in the corridor. Is there any kind person who can open the door and let us stay for the night? It's such a late night, why don't we stay outside? Okay, my child is only 3 years old, please let me come into the room. They shouted for a long time but no one opened the door. No one is a fool. How is it possible to open the door and let outsiders in at a time like this? Everyone started to get angry. I know all the people on this floor. We are all neighbors. We can see each other without looking up. I wonder how you will meet each other in the future. Son of a fool. You are so selfish. That's outrageous. Isn't it just a one-night stay? It's like we're not leaving. If you have the guts, don't go out. I'll chop them all down if I see them. Residents on the 22nd to 24th floors dared not speak out, so they could only stay behind closed doors. Everyone struggled for a long time but didn't go in. They could only sleep in the stairwell and corridor. But the ground was too cold and hard, making it uncomfortable to sleep on. Someone braved the courage to return home and brought some bedding. Others followed suit and brought in various things. Bamboo mats, camp beds, deck chairs. These people didn't dare to separate and gathered between the 22nd and 24th floors, making the place a mess. Residents on the 22nd to 24th floors complained secretly, but there was nothing they could do. 4 o'clock in the morning. Zhang Fan was lying on the bed, not feeling sleepy at all. He used his senses to observe the movements of the survivors downstairs. Most of the survivors below the 21st floor moved to the 22nd floor and above and fell asleep in the corridors and stairwells. There's this guy who's sneaking around and stealing other people's stuff. Zhang Fan was very relieved to see that the person who was stolen was Mrs. Xu. Zhang Fan was surprised to find that there were still some people from the 28th floor upwards, but after a day, there was only one survivor left. Everyone else went out in search of food and never came back. The only remaining survivor lives in room 2803 and is a girl. She was lying on the bed shivering and seemed to be sick. The body's light was extremely dim and was about to go out. After a few minutes, the girl stopped moving, and the light on her body disappeared simultaneously. Another one died. Zhang Fan's heart was calm. In the apocalypse, death has long been commonplace. At this moment, an accident occurred. A girl appeared out of thin air in the deceased's room. Zhang Fan sat up immediately with a solemn expression. What happened? He didn't see how the girl came at all, as if she appeared suddenly. Could it be a supernatural power? Teleport. Zhang Fan noticed that this girl indeed had a ginger in her body. The color is the same as the mutant frog, blue. She is a superpower. It actually has the ability to teleport. This ability is so powerful. Zhang Fan observed carefully for a while. The light on the supernatural woman's body is not very bright, similar to that of Tang Shiru, and she probably has no fighting ability. Zhang Fan no longer hesitated. With a thought in his mind, his body passed through the bed and floor and fell into the 31st floor. Teleportation powers are too dangerous. If she suddenly teleported to Zhang Fan's room and assassinated Zhang Fan, it would be difficult for Zhang Fan to react. Even if she can't defeat Zhang Fan, she can still throw a bomb and teleport away. If Zhang Fan fails to respond in time, the consequences will be disastrous. This girl's abilities are so powerful, whether she's running for her life or being a villain, she's too powerful. Either surrender to me or die. Zhang Fan's eyes flashed sharply as he crossed the floors and quickly approached the superpower woman's position. The twin ponytail loli poked her head out of the blue film portal and shouted softly. Zhang Yinyu, I'm Tian, I'm here to save you. The room was silent. Tian was very scared. She took a flashlight to look at the situation on the bed and couldn't see clearly, so she could only grit her teeth and jump down. Tian walked gently to the bed and found that her classmate Zhang Yinyu was dead. His face was ashen and his eyes were wide-eyed, very scary in the dark. Woo! Tian was so frightened that tears flowed out on the spot, and she backed away repeatedly. The body was motionless. Tian recovered from her fear. Since the end of the world, she has seen a lot of dead people and can barely get used to it. We've already come, it would be a waste of opportunity to go back now. Her portal can only be opened twice a day. Just come here once and go back once. Tian bowed several times to Zhang Yinyu's body and said apologetically. Zhang Yinyu, if you have something delicious at home, I will take it away. You probably won't be able to eat it anyway, right? Tian saw a school bag placed next to the pillow. There was a pack of unopened Oreos in it, which Zhang Yinyu had just retrieved from outside. Yeah, great harvest. Tian jumped up happily. Zhang Yinyu, thank you. I'm going back. Goodbye. After saying that, she tore open a blue film, got in and disappeared. A few seconds later, Zhang Fan crossed the floor and landed quietly in the room. Going so fast, Zhang Fan looked at the empty room, secretly disappointed. It's too late. Zhang Fan frowned secretly. Moreover, if nothing unexpected happens, this girl should have gained the ability to teleport not long ago. In other words, if you accept her and activate the historical return, you will probably get the fruit of enlightenment that she eats. But, Zhang Fan looked helplessly at the room. The teleportation ability is so incredible, where can I find her? She found food here and should be back soon. I can only sit here and wait. Zhang Fan looked at the female corpse on the bed again. There was a black bite mark on the female corpse's arm. She was bitten by an unknown animal, and it exuded a disgusting rancid smell. It was probably due to high fever caused by inflammation of the wound and lack of food that he died. What does that girl with twin tails have to do with her? Zhang Fan just saw in his perception that the girl with twin ponytails bowed to the female corpse. The two must have known each other. He searched the room and found that this was the bedroom where the female corpse had been alive. Zhang Fan found his school bag and textbooks. The female corpse is named Zhang Yinyu, a freshman girl from Mahai Film and Television Academy, studying stage art. Is it a classmate? Zhang Fan secretly guessed. He found Zhang Yinyu's cell phone beside his pillow and unlocked it with Zhang Yinyu's finger. Zhang Fan flipped through the call records. Zhang Yinyu made dozens of calls to his parents in the past few days, but all of them were missed. Probably the parents are dead. In addition, there were more than a dozen calls made to a person named Tian Tian. Zhang Yinyu's last phone call was to Tian Tian half an hour ago. The phone is set up for automatic call recording. Zhang Fan turned on the recording of the last phone call. Tian Tian. Hey, Yinyu. You're still alive. That's great. Zhang Yinyu. Tian Tian. Woo woo woo, can you come and save me? Tian Tian. Yinyu, what's wrong with you? Are you hungry? Zhang Yinyu. I was bitten by a mouse. I have a fever. It hurts so much. Tian Tian. I'll try. Just hold on. Zhang Yinyu. Come and save me. My phone is almost out of battery. I'm so scared. Zhang Fan opened the call between the two a few days ago. Tian Tian. Hey, Yinyu, I found a carton of milk today. I can't drink it all for now, do you want it? Zhang Yinyu. Thank you, Tian Tian, I still have some food. Herbicide was sprayed on the plane, and many people in the group said they would go out to find food tomorrow. I'll give it a try. Tian Tian. Okay then. If you have any difficulties, be sure to let me know. Zhang Yinyu. Okay, Tian Tian. Yi Nuo. After listening to the call between the two girls, Zhang Fan figured out something. Tian Tian and Zhang Yinyu are classmates. Tian Tian's teleportation ability seems to be very limited. He can't teleport many times a day, and he has to be very careful about the target point. He doesn't know the reason. Zhang Fan also found a group photo in the photo album of his mobile phone, a girl with double ponytails hugging Zhang Yinyu. Tian Tian. Age. 18. Quality. 9 points playful and cute. Women's virtue. 10 points not considered human affairs. Comprehensive score. 9 points. Ding. Meets system requirements. Zhang Fan's eyes lit up. Mine. In order to avoid an accident when capturing Tian Tian, Zhang Fan decided not to allow other survivors to go up to the 28th floor. Of course, if she resists fiercely, she must die, and Zhang Fan will not hold back. Tian Tian got through the blue film and jumped back home. A black cat jumped over. Meow, Tian Tian said proudly. Coke, look what this is. I found a pack of biscuits. Unopened. I'm the best. Although Tian Tian has the ability to teleport, he has no combat effectiveness. It was so dangerous outside, and she didn't dare to break in. It was actually pretty bad. I'm just a little better than others. I barely have food to eat, but it's hard to be full. The black cat raised its tail and rubbed against Tian Tian's legs a few times. Tian Tian checked it carefully and proudly said to the black cat. Coke, I really haven't opened it yet. I'm so awesome. The black cat was lying lazily on the ground and was not very interested in the biscuits. The black cat has no shortage of food. The cat food is spoiled. However, Tian Tian bought a lot of canned cats during Double 12 last year, and they were all edible. So the black cat doesn't want to eat junk like biscuits at all. When Tian Tian was most hungry, he actually relied on canned cats to survive, which made Coke very unhappy. This Twi'lek is so stupid. Not even hunting. Tian Tian took out a pack of disposable rubber gloves from the freezer, took out a brand new one and put it on his hand. Then he took out a pair of scissors from the freezer, cut a small opening in the biscuit package, took out half of it, then immediately sealed the biscuit bag with a simple sealer and put it in the freezer. This operation can reduce the possibility of bacterial entry as much as possible and slightly increase the shelf life of opened food. It's no problem if you stick to it for at least 8 hours, but we can't guarantee it for any longer. Tian Tian finally ate the biscuit happily. The high sugar and high oil biscuits that were originally disliked by girls have now become a peerless delicacy. Tian Tian lay comfortably on the bed. The cookies are so delicious. She calmed down for a while, checked the freezer again, and said to Coke sadly. We only have 2 ham sausages left, a pack of instant noodles, and half a pack of biscuits. We still have to find ways to collect food, but now food is getting harder and harder to find. The black cat didn't even raise his head. Meow. Anyway, the old bosses are not short of food. Just don't steal my food. Tian Tian thought for a while and said. I think there should be food at Zhang Yinyu's house, but it's too dark and I don't dare to stay longer. I'll go over and look for it carefully during the day. Tian decided to search in the building. Even if he couldn't find any chance, he would find an unoccupied room and then teleport in to search for food. The black cat wagged its tail leisurely. Tian grabbed her twin ponytails, thought about it for a while, and said to herself, "It should be fine. It's a residential building over there, so it probably won't be too messy." She remembered the chaotic scene she saw when she went to Yida Plaza yesterday, and she couldn't help but shudder in her heart. After she was scared away by the big orange cat last time, she gritted her teeth and went to Yida Plaza again. As a result, I met the survivors going to Yida Plaza collectively. As soon as she landed, she was robbed with a knife. Not only was she unable to collect food, but her backpack was also snatched away. Tianxin has lingering fears. By the way, tomorrow I will act ugly, act older, and put on my mother's old clothes, so as not to be stared at by others. Tian pulled her hair and thought, "By the way, Coke, if I find purified water, I will bring it back. Now that the water and gas are stopped, we can only drink purified water." The black cat is almost asleep. Tian felt that he had a heavy responsibility, nodded heavily and said, "Don't worry, Coke, I can handle it." Yida Plaza. Song Xian and her younger brother hid in an empty maternal and infant food store. In the darkness, she turned on her phone again, took one look and became desperate. No signal. Why no signal at all? Song Yuanfan looked outside with fear. "Keep your voice down. Don't let that cat hear you." Song Xian trembled. Ever since that orange cat appeared, he never walked past it again. It seems to regard humans as mice in the past and has a great time playing with it, and the dark Yida Plaza is its playground. At least several hundred people were trapped in the supermarket. Anyone who tried to escape was killed by the orange cat. What's even more troublesome is hunger. People who come here looking for food don't find much food at all, not even water. The entire Yida Plaza was filled with hungry and thirsty survivors. In this store, in addition to the siblings, there are two groups of survivors. One group is a couple, hiding in the corner. The woman is no longer good. She was bitten by a big mosquito, and her whole face was swollen like a bun. She had a fever, and her body temperature was so high that it was scalding. Another group of 3 young men grabbed a few Snickers bars, but one of them was dying. The man was so thirsty that he couldn't bear it, so he drank a few drops of tap water, and then fell into a coma until now. Song Xian was unbearably hungry and thirsty. Looking at the food photos Zhang Fan had posted in the mobile phone group, she suddenly started to cry. Why didn't he save me? Why did he give food to these fools? I am his girlfriend. In the darkness, a man growled. "Don't be so noisy. If you want to go away and die, don't bother me." "That boy, shut up your woman quickly, or I will kill you." Brother, don't be angry." Song Yuanfan smiled in fear and said anxiously. "Sister, stop crying, stop crying." Song Xian's mood completely collapsed and she was still crying. Song Yuanfan was afraid that the man would be angry, so he slapped Song Xian with his hand. Snapped. Song Xian was stunned by the beating. She looked at her brother stupidly. "You hit me." Song Yuanfan was furious. "Stop howling. They will kill me. And, do you want to attract the cat? You hit me too." Song Xian was so wrong that she wanted to die, but she didn't dare to cry anymore. She looked desperately at the darkness before her. "It's all Zhang Fan's fault. If he hadn't given me food, how could I have been so miserable? Isn't it just a breakup? How can you be so heartless? Isn't it all your fault for the breakup? Who keeps you from making progress?" Zhang Fan turned on his senses and walked downstairs step by step. There was not a single survivor on the road. It wasn't until the 24th floor that I saw a group of people building floors in the corridor. No one dared to separate, they were all huddled together. It's very dark here, with only weak moonlight coming in. Most people are already asleep. A few people were still discussing something in low voices. When they saw Zhang Fan coming, they stood up in surprise. They knew this convenience store clerk. He had pinched the strong Zhou Tianao to death 2 days ago and was very difficult to deal with. Zhang Fan knocked heavily on the fire door with his fist. Dwang, dwang, dwang. Everyone woke up immediately. What happened? What happened? Zhang Fan took a good rest and said. From now on, I will serve as the building manager of this building. Who is in favor of it and who is against it? Everyone's expressions changed. They were all unhappy, but no one dared to object openly. Zhang Fan looked at the people in front of him, and most of the yellow light on his body turned into reddish. It seems like you have a lot of opinions. Whoever has an opinion can raise it now. Still no one dared to speak. Several mature men did not make any move. They knew that they were not as good as Zhou Tianao, so of course they did not dare to provoke Zhang Fan. At this time, a middle-aged woman stood up and said. Then I said, I think there should be an election. Snapped. Zhang Fan raised his left hand. The middle-aged woman's neck was twisted into a knot, and she was beaten so hard that she spun twice in the air and fell heavily to the ground, motionless. Zhang Fan smiled brightly and said, Yo, you really mentioned it. Everyone gasped. Zhang Fan asked again, who else has an opinion? Now no one dared to say a word. Zhang Fan nodded with satisfaction. Okay, since everyone agrees, I will stop being disrespectful and let's talk about something now. 1. From now on, everything above the 28th floor is my private residence, and no one is allowed to go up there. 2. Whoever goes to weed downstairs and dig up 100 kilograms of plants every day, I will give him some food and water. After saying that, Zhang Fan turned around and went upstairs. Keep these people downstairs, they can be used as human shields. If any animals come up from downstairs, they will attack them first to give Zhang Fan time to react. In addition, letting them go weeding on the first floor is also to let them explore the road and see what animals are harmful to humans. More importantly, try whether the mutant frog still attacks people. Everyone looked at each other. He's serious. Why do weeding? Really? Impossible. How can he have so much food? This kid is a murderer, don't believe him. HMPH. Aren't there many people dying these days? One person's death is nothing. How about, try it? I won't go. It's too dangerous on the ground. If you get bitten by an insect, you will most likely die. Some people are hesitant, and some people have already started to take action and go home to get knives suitable for weeding. I'm going to starve to death anyway, so I might as well give it a try. HMPH. If we don't remove the weeds, we won't have anything to eat. Wouldn't we still die? Mrs. Shu said with a stern look on her neck. No, I won't go. I'm too old to do any work. If you have food, you must give it to me. Otherwise I will sue you. Her words aroused the agreement of a group of elderly people. That's right. A job like weeding must be done by young people, but I can't do it. If there is food, why not give it to us? Don't today's young people even know how to respect the elderly and love the young? Someone kindly reminded Mrs. Shu. This is not the past, don't cause trouble. Mrs. Shu said plausibly. How did I get into trouble? I'm just asking for what I deserve. Neither Zhou Tianao nor Zhang Fan had ever beaten her, which made her gain confidence inexplicably. Zhang Fan must not dare to hit the old man. A group of old women also echoed. Isn't Zhang Fan just a convenience store clerk? Didn't he rely on the care of us owners before to survive? If he wants to be the building manager, he needs our support. Yes, he must have secretly hid goods from the convenience store to have so much storage. This is a time of crisis, and these supplies must be used to save everyone. I think we can have a good talk with that young man Zhang Fan. Respecting the elderly and caring for the young is the traditional virtue of the Dragon Kingdom. He has so much food, why doesn't he give us some? Doesn't he just want money? Let's give it to him. The young man felt very speechless when he heard the old man's words. Is Zhang Fan someone we can negotiate with? The body of the woman just now is still on the ground. Fine, good words can't persuade the devil to die. It's up to you. Anyway, it is a matter of complete benefit and no harm to them. If Zhang Fan is willing to compromise, then they will also try to talk to Zhang Fan. If Zhang Fan doesn't compromise, then let others die and it's none of his business. The dead woman lay quietly on the ground. There are no relatives here, and no one cares about the body. Flies will soon come. Buzz buzz, buzz buzz. The people around me despise it. You can't throw this thing here. Then you threw it away. Why should I throw it away? Everyone is starving now, and no one is willing to do anything if they can. A thin man stared at the female corpse, his eyes glowing green. He hasn't eaten anything for 2 days and is going crazy with hunger. The pale skin of the female corpse actually aroused his appetite. This woman was beaten to death. She should be fine, the thin man thought to himself. After a while, the thin man stood up and said, "It will stink if you leave it any longer. Let me move it. Can anyone help me?" Everyone lowered their heads and no one said anything. The thin man pretended to be angry. "I'll do it myself." The thin man dragged the woman's body downstairs. However, he did not throw away the female body, but dragged it back to his home. The thin man didn't come back for a long time, which attracted some people's attention. The two men looked at each other and went downstairs calmly. Mrs. Shu suddenly screamed, "Who the hell is going to steal my things? Is it you?" "None of my business. You are the one closest to me. Go away, old woman, don't cause trouble, ah. How dare you tickle me?" There was chaos in the corridor. After more than 10 minutes, it became quiet. A man covered his face in horror. His face was scratched to pieces by Mrs. Shu. Nowadays, if there is trauma, it is a very serious matter, and it is likely to cause inflammation and death. "Old woman, I'll kill you." A group of people quickly grabbed him. "Almost done. Why compete with an old woman?" Mrs. Shu hid behind a group of people and yelled, "You are a thief. I want to call the police." The injured man gritted his teeth with hatred, but he was an honest man and did not dare to really hurt Mrs. Shu. "Treat the wound quickly. Don't let it get infected," someone advised. The injured man said in fear, "Who can help me? Who is the doctor?" Drive Li is a Chinese medicine practitioner, so he should be able to do it. Li Qingchuan lives on the 24th floor. The injured man knocked on Li Qingchuan's door. Li Qingchuan originally didn't want to go out. There was a lot of chaos outside, and he was afraid of being robbed. But the injured man kept knocking, and Li Qingchuan could only say in the cat's eyes, "What's up, Dr. Li, help me." Li Qingchuan glanced at his wound through the peephole and hesitated for a moment. After all, he was a doctor. He couldn't bear it and said, "Come in." Li Qingchuan cautiously opened half the door. No one dared to rush in. At this time, no one knows whether they will get sick or injured, and no one wants to offend the doctor. The injured man cried and said, "Can I still be saved?" Li Qingchuan put on his myopia glasses, read it carefully, and shook his head. "Not a good chance. Give it a try." He took out alcohol, disinfected the wound, and applied some iodine. "In the past, such a wound would have required medicine, but now I don't have anything. Sigh, just ask for your blessings." The injured man is devastated. Who would have thought that a fight with an old woman could be fatal? Help me, Dr. Li." Li Qingchuan was helpless. It was difficult for a clever woman to make a meal without rice, and there was nothing he could do. Now, Zhang Fan may be the only one in the whole building who has medicine, but that person is very difficult to deal with, and Li Qingchuan will not take the risk of coming to ask for medicine for a stranger. Li Qingchuan hesitated for a moment and took out a box of pine needles. "I just picked up the pine needles from the pine tree downstairs." In traditional Chinese medicine, pine needles can treat trauma, but the pine trees have changed now, and I don't know if it has any effect. "Do you want to try it?" The injured man gritted his teeth. "Good." Li Qingchuan nodded. "Then I'll try." He chopped up the pine needles and spread them evenly on the wound. The rest is left to fate. Zhang Fan was at home and saw all this clearly. Interesting. Considering that Chinese medicine might be useful to him, Zhang Fan's heart moved and he sank to the floor. Zhang Fan arrived at the 28th floor and walked down the stairs in order not to expose his ability to pass through walls. When the survivors saw Zhang Fan, they were so frightened that they took a few steps back. Several old people looked at Mrs. Shu. Even though Mrs. Shu was talking very enthusiastically just now she saw Zhang Fan, but she felt a little frightened. Zhang Fan knocked on Li Qingchuan's door without even looking at her. After a while, Li Qingchuan walked to the cat's eye and was surprised to find it was Zhang Fan, and his scalp tightened. Have I offended him? Li Qingchuan was very nervous. Zhang Fan came to the door, so he could only open the door and said calmly, "Zhang, building leader, what can I do for you? Look at your patient." Zhang Fan walked into the room on his own. Li Qingchuan didn't dare to stop him and followed behind him to close the door. The injured man stood up involuntarily. Zhang Fan looked carefully at the wounds on his face and asked, Dr. Li, can you cure me? Li Qingchuan found that Zhang Fan didn't seem to have any ill intentions, so he breathed a sigh of relief and sighed. The chance is not high. There is too little medicine. He wanted to ask Zhang Fan if he had any medicine, but he didn't dare to ask. Zhang Fan was noncommittal. Let me take a look at the medicine you took. Li Qingchuan took out the remaining pine needles. Zhang Fan doesn't understand Chinese medicine, but he also knows that a doctor is still very useful. Especially Chinese medicine. Unlike Western medicine is almost useless without modern pharmaceutical technology. Traditional Chinese medicine is full of herbal medicine. However, Zhang Fan is not sure how useful the herbal knowledge of traditional Chinese medicine can be in this era of rapid mutation of animals and plants. All I can say is that having something is better than nothing. Zhang Fan asked again. Last time I saw you selling a very smelly dish. Li Qingchuan nodded. The mutated shepherd's purse is very smelly and even worse when cooked, but it is indeed edible and seems to be very nutritious. These days, my staple food is this kind of shepherd's purse. Unfortunately, there is no natural gas now, so I can't cook it. I don't dare to eat it raw, alas. Li Qingchuan felt very sorry. Zhang Fan asked Li Qingchuan to take some out. A stench like a dry toilet hit his face, and Zhang Fan almost vomited out his overnight meal. Li Qingchuan looked calm. The injured man said expectantly, Is this food edible? Li Qingchuan nodded. Yes, I eat this every day, and there is nothing else to eat at home. The injured man looked at Li Qingchuan, whose face was glowing red, and said pitifully, Can you give me something to eat? How dare you eat it raw? Dare to eat. I won't live for a few days anyway, at least I'll be a hungry ghost. The injured man is a bachelor. Li Qingchuan took out a large bowl of raw shepherd's purse and placed it in front of the injured man. I just picked it yesterday. This kind of shepherd's purse is very special. It can last for 3 days without spoiling. Ah, the injured man smelled the smell and couldn't help but feel nauseated. Zhang Fan looked at the injured man speechlessly. Can you eat this stuff too? He admired Li Qingchuan very much. How did you find this thing edible? Immediately afterwards, the injured man picked up a little bit and tried. Ah, if you eat this kind of shepherd's purse, your mouth will become pulpy, just like diarrhea. Coupled with the stinky smell, the taste is simply devastating. The injured man vomited while eating. He managed to eat less than half a bowl and could no longer continue. He was completely exhausted, slumped on the chair, staring at the ceiling aimlessly, and made retching sounds from time to time. Li Qingchuan smiled and said, You are very good. I only took 2 pills for the first time and couldn't stand it. In fact, as long as you eat it every day, you can get used to it. If there is water and gas, you can still drink soup, although the taste. Yeah, but very nutritious. Shit-flavored soup. Zhang Fan was speechless. This old man is a real warrior. The injured man waved his hands feebly and said, Kill me, I won't eat it again until I die. Ah. Zhang Fan laughed. Keep track of his condition carefully. I want to know if the herbs have any effect. Li Qingchuan vaguely felt that his opportunity had arrived. Okay. Zhang Fan waited for 2 hours and came back again. The injured man's wounds were actually scarred. Moreover, in Zhang Fan's perception, the brightness of the injured man's light began to stabilize. The injured man also felt the changes in himself and said happily, Drive Li, my face doesn't seem to hurt anymore. Li Qingchuan checked it carefully and sighed. I didn't expect that after the pine tree mutated, the effect was much better than before. Maybe this evolution may be an opportunity for mankind. You are lucky, go back and rest. The injured man left happily. Zhang Fan was also very satisfied. This Li Qingchuan really has 2 brushes. In this case, Zhang Fan decided to help him. Zhang Fan said, From now on, I will give you food every day. Do you want it? Li Qingchuan was stunned for a moment, staring at the instant noodles. He is also a normal person. Who would eat a shit-flavored meal when there are normal meals to eat? Li Qingchuan, who is in his 50s, has long known that there is no unreasonable kindness in this world, so he asked cautiously, What do I need to do? Zhang Fan is very satisfied with this kind of rational person. Only rational people will not do unpredictable things. If my woman gets sick, you will be responsible for the treatment. If she is cured, she will be rewarded, and if she is not cured, there will be no punishment. How about that? Li Qingchuan was tempted. To put it bluntly, this is being Zhang Fan's personal family doctor. Li Qingchuan has never been a pedantic person. Good. Li Qingchuan decided to move on the spot. The valuable things in his house are all solid wood furniture. These things cannot be taken away. His wife passed away early, and he only had a son and a granddaughter in the next city. After the red mist came, they could not be contacted. Li Qingchuan brought some personal clothes and a medicine box, which contained simple medical equipment such as silver needles, medicine scales, alcohol, and iodophor. Zhang Fan took Li Qingchuan upstairs. Everyone in the corridor saw it and were filled with envy. Mrs. Xu became more and more angry. Last time, her grandson died because this old man Li Qingchuan refused to treat him. Today, Li Qingchuan cured another fool who was fighting with her. Old man, you are deliberately going against me. Now, no one else can go upstairs, only Li Qingchuan can go upstairs, which makes her even more unbalanced. Zhang Fan took Li Qingchuan to the 28th floor and found a house farthest from Zhang Yinyu's home. Zhang Fan was very cautious and could not let Li Qingchuan live on the 32nd floor. Li Qingchuan is confused. I live here, how do I open the door? Zhang Fan stretched out his hand and passed his arm through the security door. Then his fingers returned to normal and he easily unlocked the door. Click. The door opened. Zhang Fan has become more and more proficient in the use of virtualization, and can skillfully control the virtualization of local limbs. Li Qingchuan was surprised. Is this a superpower? It's amazing. Zhang Fan said noncommittally. I will come to you if anything happens, but don't go out. It's very chaotic now. I'll have someone bring you food right away. Zhang Fan doesn't trust Li Qingchuan very much and won't show too many abilities in front of him. Zhang Fan returned home and took out a box of instant noodles, a large bag of ham sausage, and a box of purified water. Xu Mengqian, Lu Mengyao, please take the things to room 2809 and give them to Dr. Li Qingchuan. The two girls were a little afraid to go out, but they were even more afraid to refuse Zhang Fan. Zhang Fan is not worried. He can monitor the entire building through his perception. There is no danger above the 5th floor for the time being. It's different below 5 floors. Overnight, the land cleared by herbicides once again grew denser and denser, with various insects, ants and mice swarming around. The brief safe outing time ended and everyone was trapped in the building again. Even the building is not safe. The lower floors are crawling with mutated rats, mutated cockroaches, and mutated mosquitoes that appear from time to time. If you get bitten, you can only hope for good luck. In addition, a strange creature resembling a giant earthworm appeared in the drainage pipe. They walk through the sewage pipes disgustingly, but the brightness of their bodies is very low, so they don't seem to be much of a threat. 2nd floor. Lu Dongqiang held Chen Yun in his arms and stood at the window looking out. Just now, a group of people walked out of Block C and ran downstairs to cut the grass. Isn't this a disease? The grass grows so fast now, how can it be possible to finish mowing it? Why are they mowing the grass? Chen Yun yawned. Who knows, crazy. Brother Chang, let's go sleep for a while. She had eaten and drank enough yesterday and had been crazy with Lu Dongqiang all night, and now she was very sleepy. Yesterday, while the herbicide was taking effect, Lu Dongqiang took Chen Yun out to look for food. Lu Dongqiang is still a bit clever. He knew that large supermarkets like Yida supermarket would definitely be overcrowded, and you might not be able to grab anything there, and it might even be dangerous. Lu Dongqiang took Chen Yun to a nearby silly bird inn and used his unlocking ability to easily open the door and enter. There are hundreds of parcels piled up in the express delivery points that have not been picked up in time. Lu Dongqiang and Chen Yun found a lot of food and drinks, enough for them to eat for a few days. Moreover, with this successful experience, both of them are full of confidence. There are at least hundreds of express delivery collection points in the entire Mahai city. Even if 1/10 is left, it will be enough for them to feed them for a long time. Lu Dongqiang scratched his crotch. He felt itching more and more, and even smelled a faint smell. When he took off his pants and took a look, he was stunned. What the hell is this? I saw red pimples all over my thighs, which was very disgusting. Chen Yun was also frightened. What the hell do you look like? You can't be sick. She quickly looked at her body and saw that it had not changed yet. This fool looks so honest, how come he still has this disease? Don't infect me. Chen Yun cursed Lu Dongqiang secretly in her heart. She still has to rely on Lu Dongqiang to survive. She doesn't dare to offend him, so she can only endure it. Chen Yun picked up a bottle of pure water and went into the bathroom, sitting on the toilet to wash her body. Lu Dongqiang also said anxiously, "After you wash me, I have to wash it too." Before he finished speaking, the toilet suddenly made a loud noise. Wow! A black tentacle-like object as thick as a fist stabbed out of the toilet like lightning and penetrated Chen Yun. The tentacles penetrated Chen Yun's body from bottom to top and came out of his mouth. Chen Yun's eyes froze, and her whole body instantly froze on the spot. Lu Dongqiang's eyes widened and his mind went blank. Poof! The black tentacles retracted like lightning. Blood splattered everywhere. Chen Yun's body lay limp on the ground, like mud, with blood flowing all over the ground. Ah! Lu Dongqiang screamed in horror. The sound was so loud that it was impossible for a human to make it. The people who were mowing the lawn on the first floor and the surrounding neighbors were all alerted. Zhang Fan also discovered this scene. Just now, the light on a monster in the sewage pipe suddenly became 10 times brighter, and then it pierced a woman's body. Immediately afterwards, the light on its body dimmed again, and it got into the sewage pipe and left. Zhang Fan looked grim. Grass. This thing is so dark that it can suppress the usual brightness and pretend to be harmless to humans and animals. Tang Shiru also heard the man's screams and felt horrified. Brother Zhang, what's going on? It seems like he's someone from our building. Zhang Fan said with a cold face. I gonna go see. He immediately sank to the ground and quickly landed in an unmanned room on the second floor. Then he walked out of it and kicked open the door of Lu Dongqiang's house. Bang! Lu Dongqiang slumped on the ground with a pale face, unable to get up at all. When he saw Zhang Fan, he let out an unconscious cry of terror. The bathroom was full of blood. A female corpse was lying next to the toilet. The toilet was also broken all over the floor. The drain exuded a foul odor and was stretched all the way around. In Zhang Fan's perception, the monster had left the room and went to the first floor through the sewage pipe. Zhang Fan observed silently for a while and then breathed a sigh of relief. This kind of monster probably has limited physical strength and can only travel below the 5th floor. It is not dangerous to people upstairs. As long as it doesn't threaten you. Zhang Fan said nothing and turned to leave. Lu Dongqiang finally came to his senses, picked up the food and water, and crawled upstairs. He didn't relax until he reached a crowded place above the 22nd floor. When everyone saw that he was covered in blood and had a strong smell of urine and feces, they immediately said, "Don't come here. It stinks. Go and stay there by yourself, kid. Don't come over here." Ah! Lu Dongqiang looked horrified and kept repeating, "There's a monster in the toilet. There's a monster in the toilet." Soon, the legend of a toilet monster spread among the survivors. At around 12 noon, most of the people who went to mow the grass came back. The person who mows the most grass can only cut more than 60 kilograms, while the few people can only mow more than 30 kilograms. These residents are all city dwellers and have never done this kind of work. In addition, during this period of time, I didn't eat well, my body was weak, and I didn't have the right tools, so everyone was exhausted. To make matters worse, 2 of them were bitten by unknown insects. The wound was swollen to the size of a palm, and it hurt when touched, and the body began to have a fever. Dissatisfaction began to brew among the crowd. That convenience store clerk is playing tricks on us. It's impossible to finish 100 pounds a day. I don't even know if he will give us food. I'm so thirsty. What should I do if I'm almost out of water? Mrs. Shu was secretly happy. She and a group of elderly people couldn't cut grass. She was very dissatisfied when she saw young people going downstairs to cut grass in exchange for food. Now seeing the opportunity, he immediately said loudly, "According to me, mowing the grass was a waste of time. It must have been the convenience store clerk who deliberately tormented us." Someone immediately echoed, "It will grow back tomorrow after cutting it, so what's the use?" Yes, he just tormented us on purpose. Let's go discuss with Zhang Fan and give us some food. It doesn't need to be too good. Just 3 loaves of bread per person per day. Will he hit someone? Let's go together. I don't believe he dares to hit so many people. Yes, we must go together. Let's hug each other and he won't dare to make a move. Tian mingled in the crowd and listened quietly. It sounds like there is a man named Zhang Fan in this building who has a lot of food. She just teleported here not long ago. I searched Zhang Yinyu's house first, but found no food. Unwilling to give in, she went down the stairs and saw a group of people discussing something intensely. Tian is now dressed in the clothes of a middle-aged woman, and her face is deliberately ugly, making her look inconspicuous at all. Tian mingled in the crowd and listened for a while, then decided to follow the crowd upstairs to take a look. That guy named Zhang Fan is finished. With so many people trying to grab his food, he won't be able to keep it. Maybe I can take advantage of it and mess around a little bit. Just when the crowd was discussing in full swing, a leisurely voice came from upstairs. You guys are having a lively discussion, tell me. Zhang Fan came down from the corner of the stairs with a hint of amusement on his face. The scene suddenly fell silent. Zhang Fan didn't sleep all night. After lunch, he hugged Hu Lily and took a nap. Zhang Fan slept for more than an hour and basically regained his energy. After his comprehensive physical fitness increased to 90, he could even stay awake for 48 hours without feeling too tired. It's just that Hu Lily is very big and soft, so sleeping with her in her arms is just a pleasure. As soon as Zhang Fan woke up, he noticed that there was an extra superpower in the building. The blue ginger inside the body and the outline of the body prove that she is the female superpower Tian. You are indeed back again. Zhang Fan was secretly happy. He didn't dare to delay, for fear that the other party would run away, so he quickly put on his clothes and went downstairs. He walked to the 25th floor and heard a group of people passionately claiming to attack him. Zhang Fan didn't pay attention at all, he only cared about Tian. Tian mingled in the crowd and did not leave. Zhang Fan immediately turned the corner and said with a smile. You guys are having a lively discussion, tell me. He glanced at Tian vaguely. The other person seemed to think that his disguise was very clever and he was not too vigilant. Zhang Fan walked downstairs step by step, and everyone involuntarily gave way to an open space. Even though they were talking lively, they became timid again when they saw Zhang Fan. Even the few people who had just gone downstairs to mow the grass and were bidden did not dare to say anything. Thinking of Zhang Fan casually killing 2 people, no one dared to take the lead now. Tian was puzzled. What are you afraid of? A group of people are afraid of one person. She stared at Zhang Fan, but she really couldn't see anything special about this handsome young man. Zhang Fan seemed to stop casually, but actually stopped right in front of Tian. He smiled at everyone and said, Tell me. Everyone looked at Mrs. Shu again. Mrs. Shu gritted her teeth, took a step forward and said, Young man, whoosh. A bright white sword flashed across old Mrs. Shu's neck. Phew, blood sprayed like a fountain, splattering on the ceiling. Gululu. Mrs. Shu's head rolled to the ground and landed right in front of Tian. Tian's mind went blank. Zhang Fan didn't know when a watermelon knife appeared in his hand, and he said in surprise. Why did you stop talking halfway through? There was total silence. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.